Tenma is enjoying an awakening ritual with his pupils in front of the northern commander, Mendo Izumi, the same man who taught and produced the strongest awakener and the light of humanity. To help these children unleash their potential, he summons an awakening monolith. Several pupils attempted, but didn't get any luck with awakening. Ironically, the fattest bully bitch among them ended up getting awakened. Our boy shoved his ass aside and interacted with the stone with a passionate purpose. It was that moment that the northern commander himself saw a genuine god of destruction embodying the boy's spirit. The monolith blossoms a giant blue lotus, while Tenma acquires a hidden skill called overmimesis, allowing him to adapt to any opponent's skill and produce a counter one in its place, thus giving him enhanced Maharaja powers. The fatso couldn't handle the jealousy and tried to attack our boy. In a rapid flash, this man pops up behind Fatty's ass as if his rent was due and paralyzes him in panic, causing him to shit his pants and hit the floor. With complete analysis, Tenma receives Thunderwave as a counter skill, bringing him into a small lotus domain each time he completes his adaptation. He is praised as a genuine monster who has just obtained an overpowering skill. But unbeknownst to everyone's expectations, a massive monolith descends from the sky, collapsing on top of the institute. Even with the northern commander here, it's going to be an issue. The monolith's descent signals the coming of a powerful catastrophic beast, so naturally everyone's running. But our boy is literally too enraged to effing care. He stands up to business to deal with the threat all alone. He even feels glad that his first enemy as an awakener is the same type of creature responsible for killing his mother. Thus, this is a genuinely joyous day for him. Keep in mind that he's screaming all that trash to a badass skeleton soldier who is practically on fire. Having received his new powers, our boy wonders if he should test them out straight away. Using Thunderwave, he launches ahead with lightning speed, confronting the skeleton soldier. The monster slams its strike, but because to Tenma's extraordinary speed, he's able to not only escape it, but also hammers the giant monster with a furious punch, refusing to be looked down upon, and let anybody else die at the hands of these beasts. Just one single hit alone drops that item to the ground, attracting the amazement and attention of all his peers. They're astonished by Tenma's tremendous might and wonder if running away is even needed anymore. The same rookie who was nothing a few moments ago suddenly got the capacity to destroy a level 8 catastrophe beast across a building. As Tenma's level 0 greatly exceeds the strength of an ordinary level 0 awakener. Still, even for at his level, beating a skeleton soldier should be impossible given the beast has two formidable powers. First, it comes with massive defense, and the second one is kickstarting right now, something called Bonefire, a wall of searing blue flames that destroy anything that touches with it. Our boy's buddies are scared, as Big Mac Attack Grinchface is happily celebrating his fate. It appears like the end, but it's really just the beginning. Get it? Thanks to gaining inspiration from Kakashi the copy ninja, Tenma examines the talent at the back of his mind. He also notes during this instant that his rate of analysis consistently increases the minute he is struck by an enemy's attack. The Snow Bunny teacher can't believe her eyes right now, as not even a level 10 awakener should be able to tank the Bonefire strike from the skeleton soldier. Actually, our boy's body is literally burning off its skin. This man's ribs can be seen as his body withers away, but he aura farms without giving a single fuck about the situation. All he sees is the sight of his loving mother, who faced the same harsh flames, and at this point, the supervisor knows that this guy hasn't even used his full skills yet. The genius awakener is out here looking like Gus from Breaking Bad at the end of his life, and threatens to kill the skeleton soldier the second his analysis achieves complete. I'm not even going to sugarcoat how metal this scenario fucking looks. His classmates feel awful for continuously underestimating him. Some of them take notice of the blue lotus swelling once more, suggesting that the awakener is poised to show off a miracle. Body withering away, Tenma reaches for the next skill, and learns the Black Ice Wall, which can build ice on the surface of any body to repel fire-based strikes. At the same time he gains this skill, the system heals him back to full health, saving him from withering away from the fires of Itachi's Amaterasu. Tenma recognizes that he couldn't defeat the soldier with a single attack, but now that he's raised his stats once more, theoretically, he should be able to achieve it. The magnificent petals of the lotus engulf his body, restoring him back to full health, while his classmates cheer him on, unable to understand how this man is moving like Gojo is Sukuna's malevolent shrine to heal his wounds. The teacher is starstruck by the usage of his healing skill, even if the kid literally just used a lighting-based attack too. One thing remains evident: this man is built different. He's an outstanding awakener. His self-recovery mechanism makes them question if this individual can also damage sections, like renewing his brain or whatever. While it is a good subject, for now the skeleton soldier is angry off and fires another wave of blue flames on him. This time, however, our boy wraps his body with a large metallic sheet of ice. Not even the searing blue flames are capable of melting this ice armor, which implies he's entirely immune to it now. Cutting through the flames, this man pushes ahead like a god of destruction himself, evading the soldier's wide slash and utilizing that same ice armor to form a gigantic blade extending from his arm. The person appears like a final boss, and it's merely the beginning of the story right now. Using that building-sized sword, Tenma slices the skeleton monster with a crisp Kit Kat stroke, startling the spectators. They're at a loss for words when it comes to both his speed and strength. His movements are incapable of being perceived with the human eye. Tenma's armor withers away, with the fight coming to a close, as he proclaims having attained the ultimate talent of both offense and defense. His buddies call him after the battle, with Ruki coming to hug him. Seo apparently didn't come to see him and went off after being worried about him. Tenma wonders if he made her angry, while the instructor and the supervisor are mutually left with their faces filled in shock. A single awakened youngster defeated a calamity beast so powerful that not even a level 100 awakener could defeat it. Choha is told to clean up the mess and leave a message to the principal, indicating that the brilliant awakener is coming with them. Tenma's best friend glazes him for looking like a god during the fight, while the supervisor comes over to personally share a talk. The rest of the classmates all jumped up, knowing that Izumi Mendo may try to make this boy his student. Keep in mind that this man also ended up raising the strongest awakener in existence, Jin Tewa, so he's got high standards too. Bro's companion hurries out to give them some space, as the northern commander here commends the child for his particular gift. Tenma doesn't comprehend what he means, but clearly Mendo has taken notice of the boy's raw hatred and rage buried inside his heart. He's interested what made him become such a resentful individual. The sob story begins as Tenma relates his devastating loss of his parents. 10 years ago, he was seconds away from being dead meat from a skeleton monster when suddenly an awakener saved him. Unfortunately, he watched his mother wither away before his very eyes as the campfire flames ate her skin. She advised her son to walk the rest of his road with conviction. From then on, the youngster gained hatred and held that hatred toward catastrophe monsters. He wished to slay them, ensuring the doom of the demon of ruin and the rest of his kind. That same hatred arises even now with Tenma crying, an interesting element that Mendo sees. Strangely, his left eye ceased producing tears, while his right one did it all on its own. This is something that happened following the loss of his mother also. After listening to that Speak no Jutsu sob story, Mendo extends our boy an offer, requesting to take him as a student and be put in the top level so he can fight the monsters. The Savior League is a group established for the specific purpose of confronting and destroying calamity animals, comprising of the strongest awakens in the world. It's kind of like an army of awkwardness meant to slay monsters. Each of its members are dubbed saviors. These people are granted proper resources, weapons, and training opportunities to obtain prizes. Just like a job, even a trainee savior earns 10,000 gold every month, and in current economy, I'd labor for even 200. It's a generous amount, and all of these advantages come with a certain expectation. Saviors are needed to confront catastrophe animals whenever called. They're the front lines defending the globe from them. In all honesty, Tenma doesn't really care about the award. All he cares about is killing those creatures for the love of the game. Bro wants to become Doomslayer at this moment. Anyway, he takes the opportunity to become a savior and discovers that each February, the league holds an exam with 10,000 participants. Points are provided based on merit. However, only the top 100 highest performing candidates are allowed to become saviors. This gets our boy curious about the highest attained score. Mendo remembers the top score being 115,000 points, created by Jin Tewa, the strongest warrior. For 11 years, no one has been able to touch it, and collecting even 50% of those points can assure first place in the exam. Tenma reveres this guy for being the light of humanity and an utter monster at humanity's disposal. But Mendo assures him that comparing his talent to Jin Tewa is unwise, as he's in a separate league of his own. However, our boy's inherited Asagi's ego from Blue Lock and aims to beat that record, stunning Mendo with his statements. It reminds him of his chat with Tiwajin, his student, who claimed that eventually a human will come to surpass his brilliance. It appears as if the new kid has finally arrived to replace the old. That type of potential lays in the boy before him. In the next scene, they find themselves at the stone monuments, the ones responsible for building passages between the two realms. Killing monsters isn't enough. One has to get rid of the monuments too, or else they'll keep spawning. The edifice in front of them is created particularly to isolate such monuments, conserving them, but making sure calamity monsters don't escape either. They can act like tests for new saviors for training purposes, making it a training facility. In the League's words, it's dubbed a stage, and the creatures inside are deemed uncontrollable too. This is also why rookies get slaughtered when they visit these monuments or stage training fields, giving it the label of the rookie's graveyard. Jin Tiwajin at his earliest cleared the stage in 3 minutes as his record, so Mendo is aiming for our boy to break the same test in little under 3 minutes. It's only then that Mendo will formally regard him as his student. In the next scene, Mendo is wandering about with his newest rookie that everyone has been raving about. People are starting to compare this guy to the tale of the strongest warrior, unable to wrap their heads around the reality that he's walking shoulder to shoulder with Mendo himself. While they're wondering all kinds of stuff, our boy looks at the disaster level. It's 10 for this stage, 2 levels stronger than the skeleton soldier, making him wonder precisely what type of monsters he's up against. From the amazement displayed on the people's faces, Tenma curiously wonders why everyone here seems like a normie who has never stepped foot inside the stage. Going over to the reception lady, he requests entering the stage. She directs him and asks about his party, only for our boy to explain that he's the only one. A moment of stillness ensues. The receptionist views it as a kind of disrespect and feels this person is hitting on her. Bro landed in the anti-Riz region extremely fast and lost the baddie. Tenma has no notion what's going on. Even the onlookers are criticizing him for attempting to be a hotshot with an ego. To clarify, he expresses his objectives again, adding that he doesn't want to crack her, he only wants to challenge the stage. Again, this reception lady believes she's the queen and that he's simply trying to rescue himself from the disgrace. She's even ready to hand over her number just to stop this fool from going overboard. Genuinely fury-provoked, this man threatens her that he won't repeat a 3rd time. He isn't interested in a sliced receptionist. All he cares about is his stage mission. Terrified by his remarks, she agrees with his request, emphasizing that his death will be on his own shoulders. Tenma snatches the bracelet and wraps it around his arm, annoyed that he had to cope with that annoying interaction. The rest of the beta simps around him believe he's an idiot for not swiping the girl's number and playing Mr. Tough. The fact is, any newbie who challenges the level 10 stage is practically looking to get violated by the demons. That's how disheartening the gap is. Most of these D1 haters are talking garbage, but some of them are curious about Tenma's gift and how he'll utilize it to leverage his position. The trouble is that despite his gift, his level is still 0. Therefore, in their view, he's as good as dead. Focusing on the work at hand, Tenma scans the bracelet with his identifying details, gaining admission to the other side. With the administrative dull things accomplished, he stretches to get ready to throw hands. The timer kicks off, and so does his countdown to defeat the stage in 3 minutes. This man monstrously surges ahead, recognizing that this location is extremely vast, even if it's an artificial stage. For his first ever encounter with a monster, he runs into a level 4 Kadama, a rather fucked up looking dog if you ask me. Bro slaughters this creature with a single sword slash. Remember his ice morphing powers? He can effortlessly manifest a fighting axe and weaponry for every usage case. With one of the Kadamas severed, the remainder of the ravenous tree logs come, appearing like a terrible variation on Pokemon's. Outside, Agia passionately opposes this trial put up by her father. There were countless other stages that rookies could have contested, and instead, he put Tenma to the toughest first one. It's just the truth that he wants to see Tenma ultimately exceeding Jin. Thus, he's comparing both of their results. Even Ageha thinks that it's impossible to surpass the greatest fighter, as his boundaries are beyond the sphere of humanity. But her father is interested if she agrees with that opinion. To her, Jin seemed accessible and nice at first, but then she observed that man slaying a level 97 calamity beast like it was nothing. She met his eyes, cold and calculating, one of a god. It's like this man has wonderfully exceeded the human race and has become a deity himself. While it is true, Mendo contends that the same potential is apparent in the likes of Tenma, but it's going to take a while to transcend him to that level. Jin is a deity who is the savior of humanity, but Tenma seems like a monster who is absorbed by his own wrath, making the two of them polar opposite forces. Back to the stage, our hero has annihilated the Kadama gang with ease. Unfortunately, his ability, Over-Mimesis, won't even perceive these weakling animals as something to scan from. Suddenly Bro experiences a, "he's standing just behind me, isn't he?" moment, and swiftly counterattack with a slash. Surprisingly, it was easy to kill that one too. Tenma is starting to question if these Calamity level 10 creatures are all weak, but that can't be correct, because then this stage wouldn't have been considered a novice graveyard. There has to be something he doesn't know about, and he's precisely right. The system discovers a B-rank skill termed self-regeneration, kickstarting the analysis cycle. Our boy wasn't expecting it, as the identical creature he cut down stands up again like a colossus, overpowering our boy with earthy vines. Even after being cut down, the creature regenerated from that wound. It's not a surprise that this monster is hard to fight, standing at a massive level 10 in strength. Activating Black Ice Wall, Tenma blasts sharp spikes and wraps both his arms with them. His purpose is to inflict so much damage upon the monster, to the point it is incapable of regeneration. While he's hacking it relentlessly with his dual swords, he's also processing the analysis cycle in the back of his mind. A notable slash even severs the creature's head in two, yet that's not enough to kill it either. Tenma takes extreme satisfaction in cutting it down. He's the monster here, the one who wants to break it apart so it can't even recover. This man finishes up giving the monster so many cuts, you'd assume it experienced Sukuna's realm expansion. The creature explodes to bits and pieces, completing the fight, which is excellent, because Tenma is already running short on mana from spamming his Black Ice skill. But a story surprise, this organism still ends up regenerating back to full health, taking inspiration from Perfect Cell. Frustrated, Tenma avoids each attack, startled that he's battling with a tenacious monster. The wonderful part is that each time this monster regenerates, his analytical speed multiplies further. But the struggle is starting to overwhelm him, to the point he's storing up on mana by not casting Black Ice at all. The smarter approach here is to employ speed and wait till the study is complete. But the worst thing is that he's running low on time too. Saying fuck it Weeball, he triggers Thunder Wave, accompanying Black Ice Wall to employ last-minute slash attempt. Tenma rips through the creature's vines, forcing it to regenerate numerous times to speed up his study process, for if he runs out of mana, he'll be killed on the spot. Then again, if this is his level, then he's fine with dying, since he would be a horrible impersonator. Mustering one last stroke, Tenma releases his anger to try and cut the creature's head. Unfortunately, the jig is up, his mana has ran out, and the second it happened, he ended up receiving more holes in his body than a slice of cheese. This is his final chance as the mimesis process reaches completion. It's the only thing that doesn't demand mana from his arsenal. The minute it reaches completion, the Blue Lotus spawns anew, acquiring Lotus Burst from self-regeneration. The monster attempts its best to try and sever him again, but the Lotus Burst effect is presently functioning, detonating all surrounding mana into an explosive catastrophe. As per the accomplishment of mimesis, all wounds that hurt Tenma end up getting auto-healed. The monster stares in shock, and the instant our boy claps his hands, the Lotus unleashes genuine horror. The destruction incinerates everything in the surrounding region, reducing the beast to ashes. By the conclusion, Tenma appears injured from the outpouring of his attack. This was his final trump card in the contest. By the way, he unleashed this much havoc merely by expending a third of his mana after earning it back via mimesis. He no longer will feel any difficulties destroying mob monsters. Also, the mimesis skill is verified to have both mana and health restoring properties. A solitary fragment remains, while the state of the outside world is in disarray. The reception lady is frightened about the rookie who went inside, and asks them to contact a rescue team. Even Aigeha wasn't expecting our boy to wind up losing to a level 10 monster. The bigger challenge is vacating the stage in under 2 minutes. Suddenly, the stage reveals that a new record has been set, shocking everyone's expectations. The record of 11 years has been broken by Itsuki Tenma, who physically cleared it in 2 minutes and 14 seconds. When he exits the stage, this man looks like he came out of a war. All of his detractors have now converted into his admirers, because the underdog smashed Jin's record with a complete minute lead. Our boy comes up to Mendo, inquiring if he has now earned his mentorship. The man is truly impressed, complimenting his new apprentice. It's one of the unusual instances that Aigeha has seen her father smile like that. The spectators believe that it was all the works of Izumi that allowed his student to beat Jin's record, but that's not the story at all. The reception lady comes around feeling terribly embarrassed for her earlier deed. She offers him with a gift for setting a new record, something our boy didn't expect. He doesn't even blame her for being fired up over a reckless newcomer challenging a higher stage. This time Bro's remarks truly managed to rizz her up, forcing her to feel agitated. Aigeha, on the other hand, teases our boy, urging him not to get complacent simply because he's become her father's student. Mendo thinks the level is too simple for the likes of his talent, so it's time to up the difficulty. He believes the correct stage for him is the advanced stage. As a crucial reminder, levels don't merely represent the threat level of a disaster beast. The most crucial criterion is actually their species. For some lack intelligence, while others have greater intelligence than even the likes of us. Those monsters are considerably more harder to deal with than the regular disaster beast. In hindsight, both awakeners and disaster animals act in the same way. Humans hold distinct jobs, showing their power, while monsters have species distinguishing theirs. Advanced tiers hold more intelligent monsters. Defeating them even at the same level is tremendously difficult compared to the average monster. Tenma's next goal is set in District 4 of the Northern Stage, and he's starting to realize that all this time, He only beat terrible monsters that had even basic intelligence to outplay him. Knowing that sentient creatures can experience pain, Tenma is happy and fully involved in tormenting such monsters. Bro even gives off his frightening aura, having just acquired himself fresh victims. The excitement of the crowd is amazing, as people can't stop talking about Jin's record of 11 years being smashed by a new underdog. Still, advanced stages are tough, and the ones in District 4 are fully dominated by one man. Many Awakeners have entered to challenge advanced stages, only to end up missing. Rumor has it that there's a secret assassin. One moron blurts out Reiji Kinoshita's name, while another tries to protect him from getting killed for talking garbage. Reiji is discovered to be the son of the ward chief of District 4, and this trust fund Nepo baby enjoys being serviced. All the stages in District 4 belong to him, and waiting is for awful beginners instead. Opening open the chest box, he discovers a similar stone from what he found on the stage. Mendu is astonished he ran into one, given it happened shortly after slaying the disaster beast. There's a key distinction in the two stones. One seems green, which actually stuns a geha because it's thought of as intermediate quality. Tenma wants to know what a karma stone actually is, and learns that it's simply regarded as an experience stone. Beating monsters or killing awakeners creates karma, or something called experience points. Those eventually become responsible for improving your level. In this situation, the karma stone is something that already holds that karma, and ingesting it allows the user to enhance their levels greatly. The strangest thing of all is how a karma stone ended up naturally developing inside the stage. Mendu the master speaks, assuming it must be influenced under Tenma's gift, surprising both of them. Apparently the karma held inside the defeated ends up being absorbed by the victor, but the fact that Tenma didn't level up after defeating 2 catastrophe animals shows that he couldn't absorb the karma. Mendu's theory is that all this time, the karma that Tenma obtained by killing monsters ended up being organically absorbed by the surrounding awakeners instead of him. But the stage is different. There's no one there to absorb the karma, and Tenma can't absorb his own anyway. That's why it fiercely hardened itself into a stone. But Ageha's frightened that our boy is caught at a standstill because he can't even level up. Her father stops her from asking information from Tenma regarding his abilities. It's meant to be a secret after all. Anyway, Mendu proposes our boy sell the stone if he wants to make use of it. Personally, he's going to be absent for a while for a meeting with the leaders of the 5 continents. His daughter will watch after Tenma in the meanwhile. Tenma is told to keep his status as a disciple a secret, and he's also instructed not to tell anybody about the nature of his gift. Third, the teacher expects him to clear at least 6 advanced stages before his arrival. And now, Tenma is given freedom to do whatever he wants with his power because it's his own to wield. The rookie takes his orders as the scene breaks off to the northern district. Some awakeners are frustrated because they're not allowed room even when it's their turn. Reiji Kinoshita's guards are come to reserve the place for him, asking these kids to get lost. The awakeners talk some harsh game, mouthing Reiji off as some rich spoiled youngster who would eventually get reported to the guild. But obviously he screwed around too much, and the same person ends up getting flung against the adjacent wall. This muscle brute is struck by an immediate B-rank earth spike, only for it to result in 0 damage. This guy's face gets metallic, as the blonde fails to fathom how a method that could easily penetrate through monsters is unable to cause damage against this muscle-brained freak. The large guy takes both his arms before headbutting the shit out of his face, knocking him out. A level 7 and 8 awakener, both were taken out without being able to do a thing to Reiji's bodyguard. This man is Takeru Oga, one of the 4 strongest men under Reiji's spell, and he's also a level 12 metal bender. Metal Dick over here tells everyone that anyone who attempts to rebel against Reiji's commands will get killed. He doesn't even want the others to take these 2 awakeners away, fully intended on torturing them. His pals encourage Takeru to hold back a little, as the people are watching intently. Suddenly someone speed blitzes him incredibly rapidly. The dude's body blunders straight into Tenma's arms. Everyone around them assumes Tenma to be some kind of loser who's just signed his own death. Even this guy calls him an idiot for trying to resist Reiji's directives and delivers a final warning. But Tenma knows full well that he has to enter the stage and that Takeru is his sole obstacle. Ejiha reports the matter to the higher-ups, but our boy is going to handle things his own, recalling his teacher's teachings to do what he thinks is right. He leaves the injured in her hands and emanates malicious energy even for a level 0 awakener. Takeru can't believe that the level 0 rookie has the audacity to stand up to him, but strangely he feels a special type of pressure, making him question if the youngster has some kind of talent. Relying on his data, Takeru mistakenly feels he's got the upper hand here. But then he receives a bolt of shock. He watches our boy blitz him, with unbelievable speed, as Tenma's punch licks this guy's face. The spectators immediately grow quiet, unable to grasp the rookie's pace. Luckily, Takeru managed to metalize himself before the punch made contact. Therefore, no injuries were made. Coating his arms in metal, he thunders down his massive fists, applauding his opponent's speed, but also underlining Tenma's lack of power. Our guy evades rapidly, knowing that he had squandered his one opportunity to deal a surprise strike on a greater opponent. His best shot right now is to rely on Thunderwave and raise it even higher, forcing Tenma to activate his metallization process in the background. The metallization talent is harmful enough to gain mimesis effects, which means our boy can't hold back either, and has to become serious. Tenma recognizes that standard attacks won't work, but all he's got to do is target Takeru's flesh for severe damage. He wounds up a kick to strike his face, but Takeru manages to parry it just in time, criticizing the weakling's lack of power and speed. But this is actually our boy's strategy. He's conditioning his opponent to guess his max speed, only to enhance Thunderwave even more. Takeru is utterly caught off guard watching the usage of a lightning element. This time, our boy increases up his speed to such an outrageous extent that he's out here throwing a dozen punches and really connecting every single one of them. The analysis process continues in the background, while the viewers are starting to learn that this beginner can use numerous skills. With no opportunity left for Takeru to metalize, all he can question is how this youngster managed to attain amazing amounts of speed for his rank. With so many punches pouring down on his body, he can't even deliver a vocal command to force the others to help him. This dude is in a predicament, and in a final desperate try, he decides to bring out his trump card. Apparently, that trump card is called Blasting Off My Shirt to show off that demonic back. But truly, bro goes all shining mode and engulfs himself in full metallization. It's his first time being cornered to the point he has to deploy this technique. All of his metallic parts get a 50% defensive boost, another 50% on top of it when he's not moving. By the way, I love how we can actually say this dude's balls are made out of titanium now. Anyway, Takeru's feeling grateful for advancing to this level and aims to offer the beginner an easy death. With a defense crossing level 12, the others start to worry if somebody at the same level could break this dude's defense. But that won't matter in a minute or two, because the analyzing process is virtually complete. Our boy nonchalantly tells out that Takeru invested all his points in defense, entirely forgetting about his mana numbers. Takeru seems like he's talking garbage, but deep down, he knows the youngster is accurate in his supposition. Tenma promises this guy that he's got no interest in forcing his mana to decrease. Instead, he'll end the fight in an instant. The Blue Lotus spawns, providing another development in Tenma's power. The magnificent lotus blossoms and dazzles the spectators, though they've got no notion how this pretty thing is going to beat Metal Dick. With its completion, Tenma gets the Clear Orb Piercing True Sphere. It's a defense disregarding ability, ensuring harm. The only concern comes with range and speed. It's far too slow, making it easy for folks to avoid that. This throws Tenma into a scenario where he needs to timing the track to break apart the same defense that Takeru is so proud of. With the talent active, our boy's stats grow even higher as he casts the formation of a piercing orb. Even at this distance, Tenma confidently challenges his opponent to dodge this incoming assault. Watching Tenma's act has caught the cheer of the viewers, making them wonder what he's about to pull next. The piercing ball gently glides past their sight. It's just a small little item, so it's unthinkable to get hit by something like that. The ball is so little that Metal Dick over here is even willing to remain motionless, taking it straight on, believing downplaying Tenma's trump card. The ball ends up making contact with his arm, and the look of fear sets on his face. It absolutely shreds this man's arm, causing it to erupt in a puddle of blood. Tenma even instructed this imbecile to dodge. He specifically shot for his arm to express mercy, yet he truly might have aimed for a lethal place if this individual was a monster. Takeru is screaming in anguish as Tenma tells the clowns to fetch this guy to a hospital. They pathetically pick him up and take him away, as the day is saved thanks to the Powerpuff Girls. Wait, I forgot this isn't Cartoon Network. Tenma is acclaimed as a hero among the audience. Some of us even wish to partner up with him to pass stages in no time. The situation is so awful that guys are battling each other just to get their hands on him. But this man's far too busy appreciating his newest skill, something that could knock out a defense monster like Takeru himself. The orb has another feature of increasing faster the more it kills persons with greater defense stats than Tenma himself. The two clowns implore him for a response to have him join their teams, but he freely denies, insisting he's good off alone. Again, the same reaction is provided by the crowd as last time, calling him a fool for alone challenging an advanced stage merely because he could beat Takeru. People's perception of him changes pretty fast, and they're fine with leaving this maniac to die now, With the naysayers gone, Mendu's daughter underlines that each disaster beast in the advanced levels is proportional to Takeru's protection, so our boy really has to manage his mana carefully. But Tenma's chill with it and encourages her not to worry, making her feel flustered because his death will incur dishonor from her father. Aside from that, Ageha stresses that stone animals move in groups, but they're still dumb. Thus, Tenma might take advantage of them by pursuing mana drain. The wristband signs him off to challenge the stage as our boy enters his next big event. He didn't anticipate to face against so many of these gigantic rock lizards. All of them have incredibly high numbers too, considerably higher than the creatures he faced before. The Colossus statue charges at him at full speed, while Tenma decides to whip out his piercing orb and use it against their shielding high protection values. I can't resist but point out the similarity of the lotus petals with Archer's row A's from Fate. Anyway, the ball makes contact with the statue, carving a hole straight through its body and killing it instantaneously. This gains a 100% speed improvement in the orb's speed, which is fantastic for Tenma in every turn. 3 of the terrifying statues lunge at him, but our boy is on that kilowatt energy with his lightning, and blitzes past them. He defeats 3 of the monsters using his explosive assault after spending a third of his mana again. But the fight's not over. 2 additional creatures lunge from different directions. This man casts Hollow Purple to finish them off with his piercing orb. First, he dodges both of the statues, leading them to smash into each other. This offers him the perfect vantage point to attack them with a massive piercing orb. The speed of the orb is significantly faster this time and destroys both beasts in a single go. Tenma topples, feeling tired, as his mana extinguishes to 0. He's having a pretty hard time with his mana limits lately and wants to earn a mana recovery skill soon. His current speed of advancement is promising after boosting the orb's speed to 5 meters per second. But bro completely forgot about the ultimate monster that comes crashing down upon him, inflicting genuine destruction. One of the monsters ended up using Gigantification skill, literally becoming a threat that Godzilla would have to come and eradicate. Its sheer bulk is a concern, but Tenma is handling himself with lightning speed. Bro is dashing up like the Flash, not knowing if he can pierce a creature as enormous as this one. Carefully selecting his target, he aims at the monster's head, delivering a penetrating orb shot. But from this distance alone, Tenma estimates that the ball is so little that it's going to do minimal damage. The enormous stone monolith retaliates with a fist of its own, and because our boy can't even avoid midair, he's left with no alternative but to spam the use of black ice to tank the hit. Still, the collision sends this person flying, smashing him into the nearest wall. The fight's considerably harder than what he expected it would be. Sensing the necessity for over-mimesis, the machine starts analyzing automatically, providing satisfaction to our boy's face. The scene cuts onto Reiji's house, where one of his agents expresses his disbelief. The stranger offends him with his noise, but also notifies him of some sudden news. Apparently, someone managed to beat Takeru and got inside one of the advanced phases. The news upsets off this pampered brat, unable to comprehend how Takeru even lost with his level. The only conceivable explanation is that someone over level 30 bested him. Unfortunately, the Awakeners of this level are skilled and deal with actual missions, so they don't bother playing with weak Awakeners. Everyone in the institution is around level 10, but there's just no way Walmart Aizen can accept that a level 10 warrior beat Takeru. Reiji wishes to examine the matter on his own, assuming that he'll make it in time to the same area if they rush now. His agent even urges that they continue with the side of caution, but evidently room temperature IQ over here doesn't heed his warning. Reiji is in the mood to humble this individual for ever daring to interfere with the Kinoshita family. As for our boy, somehow he managed to survive and attain 100% analysis. Shielding in his lotus, the system marks the accomplishment of the gigantification skill, but oddly, Tenma didn't gain a new skill this time. Instead, his piercing orb upgraded to level 2, enabling him the power to modify the size of the orb and even doubling its passive speed gain. Testing out both effects at once, Tenma activates his newly developed orb, creating an orb that extinguishes every last ounce of his mana. This is the most powerful piercing orb he has built up to now, and it launches like a genuine nuclear. Bro is even out here posing like Gojo after his final kill shot, wondering whether he went too far at the end. The defeat of the stone golem signifies another stride in his advancement. The orb's speed has risen up to 7 meters per second, and if he can simply clear the stage 2 more times, he'll finish up boosting it up to a car's speed. All this time, the passive effects he's been neglecting are actually proving to be rather valuable to him. Lotus Burst provides for increased usage of all his skills, which means as long as he can boost Lotus Burst's passive effect, he'll have enough power to be able to snipe creatures from thousands of meters away. The advanced stage is marked completed in a mere 3 minutes, setting another record and startling the other awakeners. People want to know why and how this individual is a level 0, because it makes 0 sense at all. Then there's him looking like he came out of a shower, no signs of injuries. Even Ageha is impressed, always amazed by him. She praises him for being speedy with his completion rate, but that's merely because to the help of the piercing orb he received. Strangely, he observes a butterfly lingering around her. It's called a jade butterfly. Ageha is actually a Shikigami user, but I'm too busy noting those curves to care about the butterfly. No one ask me the color, please. He connects with the cute thing, calling it wonderful, and immediately questioning Ageha about the kind of professions typical awakeners even have. She's startled that he doesn't have any basic knowledge about that. Jobs are actually classified into 4 categories, and our boy has already experienced 3 of them thus far. The first kind is the elementalist, with a vast spectrum of elements making up the list. These awakeners are also the most numerous, and are known to have the highest combat power. The fatty from his class, and even Takeru is the same. The second type of awakener is a Shikigami user. We're doing it the Megumi way, Jujutsu Kaisen style. Shikigami stay with their owner from the time they're born, which is why she's got one of her own. With 2 types clarified, she waits for him to ask questions. Our boy is startled to learn that her jade butterfly is even higher level than her, making him question her veteran status. Bro ended up shattering the poor girl's ego with those statements, without even trying to sugarcoat. Ageha corrects his notion of power, noting that Shikigami would always be higher leveled than their owner. But in a situation like that, Tenma's calculative brain believes that it's preferable to target the master of the Shikigami in a combat in that situation. She's afraid to feel a hint of negative aura coming from him. Anyway, he waits for the rest of them to be introduced. The third category is a strange employment, with minimal information available on it. It's the one that our boy has, the variety dubbed Order Breaker. The trouble with the persons having this type is that each of them have various abilities. The Blue Lotus Tenma differs from awakeners who can shift size or even make shadow clones, because Naruto's here too. Skills possessed under each job category are categorized from C to S in 4 pyramids of strength. However, Order Breakers are classified as possessing Z category skills, separate from the rest. It's because the Order Breaker class is regarded with respect due of their unique skills, and the moment an opponent figures out an Order Breaker's ability, they lose their major advantage. It's the precise reason Mindu, her father, protested against Ageha questioning about our boy's skills. Tenma's irregular among Order Breakers also, because from her own confirmation, she observed him apply 3 separate skills, 2 of them related to elementalists. Tenma's starting to become a little upset out that she keeps talking about him, so he immediately inquires about the 4th kind of employment that he hasn't seen. This one, she refuses to share a word about, calling it punishment for this man keeping everything to himself. Before leaving, Ageha questions about his objectives from here on, and finds that Tenma would spam clear the same advanced stage more and again. She tells his dumbass that stages have their own cooldown periods, so he won't be able to access it for at least 2 days. It's a genuine obstacle that cooldowns exist, and he hadn't really considered them at all. This is why Reiji keeps them for himself, and because our boy can't improve his piercing orb, he feels he could at least enhance Lotus Burst instead. So he begs for a different level, with an even bigger quantity of disaster beasts. Walmart Mecha Zenin remembers there being one. Though the level of disaster beasts isn't too high, it's got a shit ton of creatures. They're a swarm of huge locusts, at least 100 of them. The stage is a huge pain in the ass without possessing a wide-range skill. Therefore she warns him against the endeavor, not knowing our boy already possesses the explosive detonation skill, Lotus Burst. He disregards frequent warnings, while the others express disbelief after hearing him intending to conquer the locust level. They're already shivering that Reiji will arrive to exact his retribution soon, and want to flee before that happens. Speaking of that scumbag, he ends up reaching the same site, only to learn their target has escaped to another location. It's hard to believe that someone managed to clean the stage in the short time they had. Reiji's blood boils, and he thinks this anonymous perpetrator is purposely fucking with him. He directs his agents to seek for evidence of mana, and to contact someone dubbed Hound for the assignment. He wanted Tenma alive, so that he might personally offer him a taste of painful hell. Bro thinks this crap is so tough. In a separate place, a poor awakener is just hanging to his life. He's being hunted by Hound, a servant of Reiji, and even after employing his escaping jutsu, he ends up being spotted by the gaping wild beast. The creature rips him in his mouth, while Reiji's other agent comes to fetch him. The guy in his mouth is still alive, by the way, questioning how they managed to hunt him down. This person's pet dog over here has a fantastic sense of smell, tracking any target down with ease. The man is known as Charles the Hound, and he has come to eliminate his victim on behalf of Reiji. The poor guy screams for his life, but Charles ruthlessly enables his wolf to feast off the human's flesh. After his death, they experience a level up at last. Charles calls to report mission status, confirming the kill, but to his amazement, learns about Takeru's seriously incurred injuries. Considering it an essential matter, he has signaled to Reiji's position, glad that a fresh victim has appeared. Tenma arrives inside, near the stage, inquiring why there are so many locusts in the first place. Aisha notes that various creatures favor certain locations, which is why one of the talents of an awakener is to be well knowledgeable of their area. Advanced phases don't even have a proper receptionist because of how deadly they can be. Tenma asks why this level is fully locked down, considering it's only level 13 at best. The beautiful thing about a normal level is that you can depart it if you find it difficult. But when it comes to these locusts, escape actually becomes impossible. A single error tears you to bits because of the locust swarm. Awakeners are eaten alive for breakfast. It's so cruel, only their bones remain, yet this kind of atrocity doesn't faze our boy. He's merely pleased to locate the perfect playground to hunt a ton of monsters. Ajaha believes he's a stupid moron for that, but Tenma's got his ambitions and confidently steps into the stage. She's wondering if whatever she told him will even be enough, before realizing that she failed to explain one vital aspect, that the locusts literally spawn an infinite number of times until the boss is slain. Having committed such a tremendous error, Ajaha wants to invade the stage level to tell him, but then she detects an unpleasant presence. It's Charles the Hound who glares at her with malicious eyes, begging to look for someone. The scene fades off and takes us to Tenma's experience inside the stage. Clapping his hands, he joyfully wakes up the irritating bugs so that he can kill them over and over. Their levels are very poor, a measly level 1, but their quantity makes this stage worth it. With more than 100 covering the sky, Tenma casts his Lotus Burst technique, while at the same time shielding himself with black ice armor. His plan is to let these guys swarm him from every direction, and just when they feel assured, he'll detonate. Tenma activates Lotus Burst at a precise moment, obliterating the bugs all at once. By the end of his strike, they're all dead meat, developing his Lotus Burst to level 2. Its range has grown to a stunning 10 meters, double than previously. Tenma thinks that creatures of this poor level should score him easy points because they barely deplete his mana in any of his skills. If he can expend 10 more shots and kill 100 locusts in each swing, his skill will enhance by 1000%. But then he understands that this stage also must have a cooldown of its own, so his enjoyment is short-lived. Tenma checks his bracelet, wondering why the stage clear prompt hasn't come. Instead, he identifies the boss monster's skill, named Matriarch's Will, which immediately activates his analysis effect. When Tenma glances around to search for survivors, he observes the dead swarm drawn inside some kind of vortex. Tenma establishes distance between them, questioning if this is because of the boss's abilities. He let his guard down, and though it's nice he can keep growing his talent, the primary issue right now is that he doesn't know about the boss's whereabouts. His best plan right now is to keep annihilating the swarm until the boss ultimately unveils itself. Reactivating Lotus Burst, he detonates another explosion, murdering another swarm. The range expands to 16 meters, intensifying the explosion even further. With a second wipeout, Tenma curiously asks why the boss still hasn't shown. The same dead locusts wind on respawning, generating an endless swarm that just doesn't stay down. Unfortunately, Tenma can only stall for 9 more detonations with his ability. He extends his hand a third time, pledging to annihilate them every single time they come back. A third explosion massacres the swarm with another kill streak of 100. Tenma keeps on detonating till he extends the explosion radius to 54 meters. Now he just has one more shot to go, but these bugs still haven't stopped respawning. The swarm appears again, instilling a sense of terror in Tenma, because he's going to run out of mana and doesn't even have any way of approaching the boss. Though he might simply try to exit the stage, this man is too conceited to stop. One last time, he reveals his plan of massacring the swarm. The Lotus Burst detonates in the greatest blast he's ever casted, fatiguing our boy to his limits. The swarm simply rises back up again, and the analytical work hasn't finished yet either. It's at this time that he understands he really fouled up, because the queen has an infinity breeding ability. That means the only way to win is to kill her, but how would he ever achieve that with 0 mana points? Luckily, his analysis rate reaches ultimate completion, surrounding him in a Lotus realm and adapting to the queen's skill. Tenma receives a new detection talent to counter her ability, with a cheat code passive effect. It's so powerful that he may purposefully leave the boss alive only to farm the locusts as many times as he likes. Unfortunately, Ege has waiting for him, so he needs to tie things up. With the skill's activation, his sensory talents are heightened, mapping out the surrounding region to look for his target. The detector picks up on the queen's signals just underground, which is the only thing Tenma required. Next, he carves up hollow purple, takes Gojo's goods again, and releases it to decimate the bothersome queen. The piercing orb crushes its way beneath, pushing the queen to draw out where it is most vulnerable. And here, our boy clocks her with a cutting backshot, ending her life. With the queen dismantled, the swarm is plunged in disorder, but our boy's happy to send them all to hell beside her. A last detonation ends off things and destroys the locust swarm for good, boosting range to 65 meters. The level supplied him with a ton of skill increases, and Tenma hopes to reprise it and evolve his range even more later on. Achieving a new record of 17 minutes, he quits the stage, anxious about Ege's condition, but also fears that she might desert his ass. Tenma truly enjoys the awkward side of her, but the moment he walks out, he sees Ege full of cuts and being choked out by Charles. The fact that Tenma came out in one piece is indication to the Hound that this is the guy his master is hunting for. And sure, don't forget, the One Piece is real. Agitated, Tenma threatens this guy to put his hands off of her, or else he'll kill his ass. Charles believes the child is confident for a level 0 novice. And in that same moment, our boy spawns in his freaking face to murder him, going, "Oh crap, I'm fucked." Charles calls his wolf Shikigami to counter the onslaught. The creature successfully tanks the hit, while overmimesis kicks in again. Tenma recognizes immediately once that he's dealing with a Shikigami user, while Charles studies the scenario. The combatant in front of him effectively maneuvered with fast speed. It's evident how Takeru lost the fight, but the huge power Charles has over Takeru is a free hostage scenario through the girl. Tenma fears for her survival, and staying preoccupied costs him as the Shikigami jumps in his face. The worst aspect of the bite force of death is that it can smash any enemy with even excellent defense stats. To his horror, Charles witnesses this man erupt with black ice spikes to protect his arm. Tenma even uses his other arm to charge up a devastating murder shot. The piercing sphere annihilates the Shikigami with a single hit, killing it quickly. Now that he has murdered death itself, his next target is Charles, who should be lot simpler to deal with. The seasoned Awakener knows that this newbie is unaware of a Shikigami user's respawning impact. Death has a B-rank ability called Respawn Desire, shortening its respawn time considerably. Tenma's distracted, so the beast tries to attack him with its gaping sharp fangs, but no worries, because Mana Sense has predicted this conclusion. Tenma retaliates easily, stopping the monster once more. His analysis talent is slowly approaching completion, but if the Lotus comes in front of Charles, it might provide him free information on his ability. Charles himself is having a mental breakdown, dealing with a person with both incredible speed and strength, alongside a lot of other hacks. His only leverage is a Geha, so he chokes her enough to prevent her from shouting "Harder Daddy," and threatens to kill her in front of Tenma. Our boy wanted to complete the analysis without spawning the Lotus, but things are going in a different path. With its accomplishment, he obtains the counter talent called Shikigami Eater, a unique power with the effect of taking possession of another user's Shikigami by touching it once. This is a good counter, but because our boy purposefully cancelled off the Lotus spawning effect of his skill, he didn't get any auto recovery effects. That's the price for skipping it. The nice news is that he's now uninjured, so he doesn't need it anyway. First things first, he tests his Shikigami Eater spell on the oncoming creature. Activating its essence, he slaps the Shikigami skull, manipulating the strings of its control, before pushing the creature away with incredible speed. Charles watches his monster get obliterated again, labeling the poor thing a useless mutt. He threatens to break a Geha's neck, but she doesn't even care about herself in this situation. Tenma throws up his hands in absolute film form to save her life. Charles is delighted that the kid is being obedient to prevent any future trouble, but the aspect that's troubling our boy is why he's being targeted in the first place. Charles thinks he's playing stupid, yet he's the one who began everything. He chooses to spill the tea of his mission information, telling how Reiji is angry off ever since the mysterious Awakener snatched his advanced levels. That's why he recruited Charles to finish him down. Hearing Reiji's name for the millionth time bothers Tenma, who thinks the two of them really need to have a conversation in private. Charles informs him that they're already headed in that route, since he's going to employ his pet dog to cut off our boy's legs. And this time if he uses protective ice, Charles will snap a Geha's neck. He gives the monster an order to torment his target, not understanding that the turns have been tabled as the creature bites down its former master. Agiha's balloons are secured by Tenma's thunderwave speed. The hunter fails to fathom why the Shikigami is assaulting him, while Tenma praises his new companion. He's not nearly done serving justice for what this monster did to Agaha's wreck. I mean Agaha herself. The hunter has now become the prey, as he pleads for forgiveness, even volunteering to seek down Reiji for this guy. Tenma scoffs at the terrible idea, while Charles psychotically unleashes one final attempt to end the rookie's life. His sword grazes Tenma's side, as he signals his new pet to slay Charles' bitch ass in the same way he tormented Agaha. I can't help but remember that one memorable scene from Game of Thrones regarding Ramsay's tragic ending. The Shikigami looks its meal down, as the formerly fierce hunter whines like a helpless animal. Death extends its jaw wide, and ultimately terminates Charles' life, bringing satisfaction to Tenma. While this is happening, he calls out the person surreptitiously observing their battle from their comfy hiding location, and begs them to show themselves. The spy is captured and exposes himself, but Tenma's still got that bloodlust mode on, so he instantly asks if this person is also linked with Charles. The guy quickly stresses that it's nothing like that, but Tenma legitimately doesn't have time to spare. He tasks Death to finish up eating and return to him. The Shikigami devours Charles and gradually fades. Even a mad dog like Death is able to accept Tenma's commands. The blonde fellow is now certain that our boy can aid him. Iberia shares his name, applauding Tenma for his incredibly amazing moves back there. He already knows him as the guy who knocked down Takaru, and he has a proposal for Tenma in exchange for karma stones and weaponry. Rejecting all of those offers, our boy simply walks away, ignoring him. Not a single awakener could do what he did just now for the reward he could have obtained. A specific form of reward always matches a specific person's condition, just as a blade would help an avenger and medicine would heal the hurt. This sparks a thought inside Iberia's head, as he's got the appropriate prize for the scenario. He understands that Tenma can't accelerate Blitz right now, since Agaha is already injured, and by the time he gets her to the hospital, she'll bleed out and die. To alleviate his agony, Iberia whips out a healing item. It's a mysterious scroll that actually stops Tenma from walking away. He turns around, his face really exhibiting expressions of relief for his friend's survival. This thing is promising enough to save her life, so they put her down and wrap her melons with the material. The item is a rare artifact made by two separate ingredients from the Shadow and Wood Spirit tribes. The novice has no concept what an artifact is, so Iberia explains their argument. Modern weapons of humanity don't do crap against monsters of devastation, notably guns. The good thing about crafters is that they can make new weapons from monolith or disaster beast parts. These crafted items are called artifacts. They're ranked in 4 rarity classifications, ranging from common to uncommon, epic, and unique. Common artifacts are your usual basic weapons, capable of injuring regular catastrophe animals and awakeners like the longsword. Rare artifacts improve the user's stats, like an aqua blade. An epic artifact, and mind you, this red blood sword is cool as heck, ends up enhancing stats and gives special effects. Finally, the one to topple them all, ranking the highest category, is the unique class. These come with unique skills, such as the Holy Sword. Crafters can't be compared to combatants, yet they're hard to find. The Awakeners are constantly appreciative to them for their wonderful effort. Tenma pieces together that this guy's father is a maker. In truth, he's not your typical artisan either. Only 10 distinct artifacts have ever been manufactured. And guess what? This guy's father manufactured 3 of those insane relics, earning him the Craftsman King of the North. I didn't know Truck-kun Isekai, Jon Snow in here also. But our boy doesn't even give a single crap, turning towards an item of his own attention. He inspects the crossbow he picked up from Charles. It's an artifact too. Iberia is surprised that even after that fantastic story, this dude didn't even give a crap about his parents. The crossbow is a rare artifact. Unfortunately, there isn't any ammo, but Iberia explains that some guns produce their own ammo. To Tenma's horror, the weapon evaporates in thin air. This is also another property of certain artifacts, who are soul-bound to owners and end up automatically returning to a subspace dimension. Tenma thinks this information neat and thanks this guy for mending Agaha, saving her life. He's indebted to him for any favors in the future, and intends to personally handle Reiji after this. Iberia believes it's a terribly hazardous idea to go and challenge Reiji all alone, but Tenma isn't in the mood to talk, and doesn't understand the deal. The nice thing is that both Iberia and our boy share the same target. Even though Reiji didn't exactly kiss him off, Iberia offers that the two of them pair up in the forthcoming Savior Alliance tournament qualifications. Tenma remembers the tournament, recalling how only the top 10 qualifying applicants make it to the main tournament. That's also why he's been spamming advanced stages non-stop, to prepare himself before the test. However, he doesn't comprehend what it has anything to do with their aim. Iberia explains that the qualifiers are held independently by continents, and as the son of the leader, Reiji is expected to engage in this event alongside his older brother. If neither of them end up cutting top 10 ranks, the Kinoshita family's name will be dragged through the mud. It's the precise reason he's gaining control of all the stages for his own personal advantage. Tenma queries why he's receiving so much aid from the blonde awakener, while Iberia shares that he sincerely admires him and believes in his own senses that they'll both pass. Tenma still doesn't comprehend why this guy is attempting to rush for the competition right now, causing the warrior to hunt for a deeper motive. Iberia shares that he observed his father work on his crafts since he was a tiny boy, so he admires his father a lot. His ultimate desire has been to become an awakener, to combat monsters with the tools his father made. Unfortunately, even after awakening, Iberia's father refused to construct him a genuine artifact, considering him unworthy to receive his. Despite the long beginning, the guy didn't flinch and urged his son to pass the qualifiers if he wanted a weapon. That's why he shares an overwhelming desire to clear the initial qualifying no matter what. Hearing all of that, Tenma recognizes that the crafter's son must have a huge list of individuals eager to partner up with him, so there's really no reason why he picked a level 0 person. Apparently, the master artisan placed a condition, stating that if Iberia ends up getting carried by an overpowering buddy, then he's not going to give him shit. Basically, bro's got your normal stern Asian dad, with a lot of demands and 0 shortcuts. One further problem is that the strong contestants have already been tipped off by Wrath, leaving loners or pre-made parties. Since he's got no one to rely on, Tenma is his best option, the same man who demolished the mighty Takaru and even fought Charles just now. In the end, after a variety of questioning, our boy eventually agrees to partner up with him, but his immediate focus is getting Ageha to a hospital. Iberia is so thrilled that he's already deciding on a team name, yapping his ass off with potential naming possibilities. Bro is a true homeboy, but he just doesn't shut up. Remembering his old school pals, Tenma wonders if Rimu and Saya will also enter the qualifications. In the next scene, we watch Rimu sneezing out of nowhere. He assumes that his pal Tenma must be remembering him or something. The name actually makes Saya concerned for Tenma's situation. She's praying that he's surviving well. Rimu teases the heck out of her for having feelings for him, forcing her to hit him with her water ability. He criticizes her for using a filthy cheap hit, but in her opinion, sparring doesn't care about sly assaults as long as there are openings. Watching them from a distance is their master, a cyborg who is hell-bent on teaching them properly for the qualifiers. Saya has already reached level 11, while Rimu is stuck at 10. Both are elementalists, hoping to square off against other awakeners shortly. The image turns to Reiji's bitch face again, who is starting to grow upset that the hound hasn't reported back. It bothers him off that they're all useless. While his agency proposes sending a search party, Reiji doesn't care and underlines the qualifiers having top priority because his parents will beat his dumbass if he doesn't make the cut this year. By the way, this person has already acquired nearly 800 participants, bribing them for the cooperation. All of them are level 5 and higher. Reiji enjoys the fact that his agent is reliable compared to the others, and goes on to swallow the last stone to level up his stats. He stands at an average level 12 thinking he's the top dog, and wields lightning as his element. In the next scene, we see our boy apologizing to his master for failing to save Ageha in time. The northern commander entertains the thought of killing Reiji with ease, but Tenma doesn't want that, and begs him to leave him alone. Mendo understands, and is interested in asking about the facts some other time. Iberia, on the other hand, can't even believe his eyes. The northern commander is out here acting buddy-buddy with Tenma. At his side, Tenma expresses his interest in entering the qualifications event, and the commander is okay with that option. Ageha seemed to be holding up well. Her butterfly healed her in the process. Even Iberia helped them out with a unique item, stirring the northern commander's attention in him. Mendo knows of the boy's affiliation with the craftsman, surprising his expectations. Iberia decides to retain his father's honor, and gives off a cool-ass aura farming proclamation declaring that he's Aiden's father. Yes, you heard that correctly. This moron accidentally mangled the sentence, disappointing the 3 individuals, embarrassing the snot out of him. Negative aura notwithstanding, Mendo is delighted that the boy helped save his daughter, and even intends to give proper respect to Iberia's father after the event. With the qualifications around the corner, he urges both of them to train, as he's anticipating a lot from them. Tenma and Iberia are sure in their win, while Ageha is horrified by her father's vested interest in our boy as of late. The problem about Tenma is that he's had some Batman levels of childhood trauma, which is why he is brutal against creatures. But that same dark inclination of his fades around the people he cares about. That's one additional reason Mendo wants his daughter to stay by his side, to become a person that he cherishes enough to protect. Aside from that, recall that skeletal soldier that appeared up in Tenma's school at the start? Turns out it wasn't a fluke, but a proper organized attack. Traitors among humans are increasing, and there have been attacks on other leaders too. Mendo strongly feels that humanity is going for doom right now, but Tenma is the stopping force that might be able to fill that gap, becoming a beam of hope for everybody. We arrive in District Level 4 at last. The tournament is set to begin. Tenma didn't expect so many people to turn up here, but apparently Mendo's presence alone pulled the attention of a big throng, pushing participation numbers up to 5,000. This is bad news for Reiji, because now he has fewer players that work beneath him, but his agency feels it's no big problem. He's already made care to wrap red bands around the individuals that are working under them, making it easy to recognize. It looks unusual to Seiya and Rimu as well. Acting as the chief supervisor, Soryu Fujiwara commences rule explanation. The area is separated into two halves. One is outdoor, and the other is an inside arena. The first stage will commence with the 4 towers of the external region. Contestants are supposed to fight their way the best they can to reach the internal region. The instant they enter here, their rank will be registered and put upon their wristband. Only the top 500 from the batch of 5,000 will be able to pass. Saya is a little apprehensive that practically 4,500 people will be wiped in the first round alone. Each contender can freely carry 2 weapons or tools at disposal, whatever works. Iberia nods towards Reiji's direction, who is hidden behind his bot awakener. He already knows that this jackass bought the participants, and they'll blast everyone to get to the internal region first. But ignoring all he said, Tenma bravely moves up to the 4 eyes ketchup-haired stickman. The first step commences right off, with the examiner Fujiwara expecting much from the youth. A hotter version of Toji thinks that quality counts over quality. This guy's heightened, and his numbers have yet to be revealed. Back then, he and Jin were the only two who bulldozed the competition. Heighten desperately hopes that there's someone like that among the Awakeners who dazzles everyone. But that kind of genius doesn't arrive readily, so Fujiwara has low hopes. Heighten recalls the report of a boy beating a level 8 monster straight after awakening, and turns to ask Mendo if it's real. The Northern Commander verifies this, forcing them to query if the same gentleman is also partaking in the tournament. Fujiwara is curious to discover what kind of person he is, so he looks down a list of alternatives from the school. Both Rimu and Saya are eliminated from his guesses, leaving Hana Hanyu, a wood specialist, with an insane level 16. She seems like a prodigy, but Mendo's lack of answer shows that all those guesses are wrong, even though Hanyu has the top rank here. Heighten curiously asks about any level 0s around. There's at least one every year who ends up getting smashed by the competitors. Speaking of a level 0, Reiji ridicules the newbie trying to confront him, not knowing this is the same person that swept the floor with 2 of his bodyguards. The moment our guy whips out Charles's crossbow, his face drops in shock. Tenma recognizes that this guy has been seeking for him, while Reiji is irritated off by his condescending tone. Taking him for a rage baiter and nothing more, he sends his lackeys to jump our boy. Saying so, Reiji hops off and goes to target the interior region. Now Tenma is left with a lot of folks that are all higher level than him. Heighten can't imagine how a level 0 is going to confront many level 6 and 7s like that. Iberia is not loving the situation either, worried that they'll get overpowered by 4 assaults. He's already prepared to utilize his trump card in a citation like this. One of the goons tries to antagonize our boy. Such an innocuous phrase makes this dude burst out in laughter, because anyone would believe the youngster is just a hotshot who talks big. Heighten truly appreciates Tenma's brave spirit, and intends to leap in if he's about to die. The same goon tries to mess with him again, only to get smashed in the face with a single punch as Tenma urges him to move. Heighten can't even grasp how this kid managed to insta-kill an opponent that is considerably superior to him in level. The encircling fighters seek to incinerate the oncoming threat, while Iberia can't even defend his companion. With an attack so massive, the rest of them assume that the novice has to be roasted after that. But this man doesn't even get a scratch, and surprises everyone with superb defense. His defense stats for Black Ice are shooting up following each successful attempt. They can't believe he blocked using the water element, while Tenma dares them to try the same technique again. Insulted, this person repeats his B-rank flamethrower talent with full force. Meanwhile, our boy just stands there and thanks the entire hit. The fire elementalist cleansed so much of his flames that he even experienced blowback and exhausted all his mana. He thinks this move is going to be the death of Tenma, but this man appears undamaged wearing a gauntlet of black ice, having discovered new discoveries. The rest of the group is now in true jeopardy, for not even the strongest attack posed any harm. They attack him with many fireball strikes, but again, nothing injures him at all. Then they switch approaches to drain his mana, but this dude closes the gap and speed blitzes them immediately. In a trial of strength, he obliterates another Awakener, defeating another one. The remaining two are lightning warriors. For these individuals, he even informs them that they won't be able to escape, but the morons continue on ahead to activate dual skills anyhow. Heighten can't believe he's witnessing one level 0 guy massacre a full team, with all of them down. Iberia commends his teammate for being wonderful. No one believes he's level 0 at all, but Iberia assures the arena that he and his partner will be the best of the best the tournament has ever seen. Reiji is on his way thinking about the crossbow, when suddenly he observes another awakener pass by him, only to get zapped like Hassan's dog. Reiji informs this dog of his place, that no one's supposed to pass him. He gathers the remainder of his lackeys and orders them to stay together. The examiners observe his arrogance on full display as the youthful master of the Kinoshita household. Unfortunately, nothing is against the rules, so they can't intervene, while Reiji is absolutely certain in his triumph in this competition. Suddenly, Bro hears someone shouting out his name. It's none other than the dynamic combo from previously. Tenma survived the team, which makes him ask how on earth this guy managed to do that. He calls our boy level 0 trash, but Tenma doesn't mind, and Reiji doesn't want to confront him head-on, so he signals another large group of 100 warriors to keep them busy. Tenma is happy to take them straight on, and covers Iberia's ears, before dashing with lightning-fast speed, driving Reiji off his rocker. This is his way of alerting the guy that he's going to settle the score, and he won't be letting his victim leave until that happens. Seiya and Rimu are having problems, but end up reaching the inner circle, Ui and Ahagami in 3rd and 2nd place respectively. Hanyu sits at the top, dominating the scoreboard. She's out of their lead, but Iberia actually ends up achieving 6th place immediately after uttering Tenma's name. The man of the hour is still on the battlefield, intending to farm a party of 100 instead of just marching towards the completion zone. Even the examiners can't tell what this guy's deal is. Heighten is starting to worry if this man might truly cook all of them. Reiji finds our boy a pest who's become an eyesore he can't ignore anymore. But it's 100 men versus 1, so the chances are plainly not in our boy's favor. Tenma's top priority is avenging Ajaha, the tournament be damned. The onslaught begins as the army of awakeners charges at him, but our boy doesn't even flinch and takes down the first aggressor, one shooting the first dude. The rest of them are starting to doubt his level 0 status, while Tenma activates Lotus Burst to hurl the battlefield to oblivion. The whole globe is watching his skills right now, even those who have already completed the zone. The examiner can't believe the ridiculous radius of the blast, but Ajaha is impressed by his recent evolution. But this man's primary focus right now is the punk who started a beef with him. He just insta-killed 100 party members, so Reiji is all that's left. Tenma walks up to him, while this guy still has the nerve to imagine he can win this fight just by shouting incredibly aggressively. He unleashes his ultimate move, the Thunder Cannon. Tenma commences the analytical process and gut punches this man to the ground, turning him to a humble insect. Reiji begs his helper to save his life, who voluntarily defies the rules and enters the contest. He's actually a level 35 awakener. Thus, Heighten is interested in taking him out quickly for invading. Our boy can detect that someone is approaching at fast speed, but it's more than one person. The agent was about to get him, when Heighten smashed him to the ground, prompting Tenma to finish where he left off. Tenma stares down the dog, who pleads for his life, but before he can continue his sob story, Bro pulverizes his head, ultimately avenging Agaha, his waifu. The analysis process is paused by him, so he can save it for later, but an unusual voice grabs his attention. Seiya and his friends welcome him to come inside. She's out here ovulating for this man after witnessing him murder those awakeners, and that's how he reached the inner zone in 7th place. Iberia and Rimu are having some major bro-level beef. Both aspire to win their top status as Tenma's ideal pal. They jabber at each other, insulting and anger-baiting to the best of their skills. The inspector closes the first stage, and explains that the candidates are meant to combat monsters in the 2nd level for 1 hour straight. This is the more thrilling level, as all 7 extraordinary candidates welcome their upcoming challenge. They arrive at the site, all of them are inquisitive, while Seiya and Rimu want to know all about our boy's skill. The examiners advise the candidates to get ready, this time meeting them closer alongside the rest of the great personalities. The test will consist of searching for animals and killing them based on difficulty points. Defeating a monster will ensue a timeout cooldown for 1 minute. This makes Gaku Ui desire to chase down the top-level monsters right now. Curious, Tenma raises his voice to offer a query, questioning if the Nightmare class is actually the highest difficulty. Most of them present don't think he's half as powerful to take down a threat like that, but Fujiwara shows that there's no upper limit to Nightmare-level creatures. They're all different, so it's meaningless to even consider about. Today's performance will also be regarded in their future consideration to become a high-level rescuer, thus it's crucial to score well. Recalling Jin's score of 115,000, our child has set his eyes to surpass humanity's finest. The contestants enter the trial grounds, starting the start of the test. So, Tenma activates his ice skill to finish them swiftly to progress to the next stage of difficulty. Heighten is the only one who is excited to see his every move. Even now, he watches the boy demolish the horde of hounds in a single second. This is why Heighten likes him, but Fujiwara undoubtedly feels that the level 8 monster Tenma's facing next is going to give him a terrible time. It's evident for anyone to struggle at that level, but Mendu doesn't want these folks to focus on his kid, so he redirects the discussion to ask about the other students. They're all doing okay. The only person giving Tenma competition is Hanyu herself. As for Tenma's struggle, Bro takes the flames like he always does and emerges scratchless. He chops down the creature in a single slash, one-shooting it in 5 seconds and collecting 500 points. Heighten asks why he didn't just kill the monster immediately, but Tenma is concentrated on honing his defense stats, which is why he's tanking every hit. The next challenge is an Eliki Rhino. It's a difficult monster worth 1,000 points. Even a single strike is going to instantly paralyze you. Winning against such a creature needs relentless quickness, but Tenma nonchalantly approaches up to it, even exhibiting interest in the horn. The rhino smashes him away, but this man feels nothing. He keeps on giving his audience a show. Thanks to absorbing that hit, his personal stats improve again. Now it's time to end the fight, so Tenma jumps right in and kills the creature inside 7 seconds. Fujiwara increases tension for the next monster, since it's even more fearsome than the last, with ludicrous attack and defense. This creature is regarded one of the most ferocious disaster beasts in the preliminaries. This is the Nightmare-class Purgatory Giant, but all that glazing does nothing when Tenma one-shots it with his piercing orb, even posing lazily after the kill. He's done toying with his toys and asks the examiners to send in the next Nightmare-class monster. Sae Hisagi utilizes her strength to penetrate the monster straight through its mouth, hoping to eliminate the remaining 2 creatures so she may finally pass to the normal class. As she prepares herself, the system alerts her that she is close to clearing the basic class. Elsewhere, Gaku Ue is convinced that he will be the first to achieve the standard class, while Hana Hanyu resolves to restore his mana before advancing to the next level. Suddenly, the system blares an announcement. The Nightmare class has been cleared by someone ranked 21st, and in record time. The message rattles all of them. Saya instantaneously becomes certain that the one who did it must be Tenma. On the other hand, the 4 of them are left in full shock upon learning that he managed to instantaneously slay a level 15 Purgatory Giant. Curious to discover how far he can genuinely go, they decide to enhance the complexity of the assignment. As our boy analyzes his data, disappointment sweeps over him. He had been expecting something remarkable, but all he received were a few additional points. Unsatisfied, he decides to take down one of the beasts. With only a single attack, he pierces it utilizing his sphere, putting it down swiftly. Once again, they are left wondering what exactly the sphere is and whether it even has a limit. Heighten realizes that the scale is packed almost totally with strength, but at the same time, it has a severe fault. Meanwhile, our boy now encounters a beast whose speed surpasses that of any creature he has met previously. Heighten reveals that Purgatory Giants are generally mistaken for being slow owing to their immense size, but in actuality, they are exceedingly swift. He also says that because their species includes no mana, their other stats are significantly improved in compensation. The beast manages to escape every shot our boy shoots at it, mainly due of its overpowering speed. This is when Heighten realizes the issue he detected previously. The black spheres may cause significant damage, but their flying speed is slower than that of high-level monsters. Still, he notices that Tenma understands battlefield tactics well, as he uses the habit of a Purgatory Giant's scream as an opening before launching his attack. However, he also determines that if our boy cannot raise the speed of the black sphere, he won't be able to advance any farther. On the other side, our boy begins to struggle as the conflict continues on, understanding that the monster can readily escape blows delivered from mid-range. Fujihara is frightened, believing that if our guy continues relying entirely on the black sphere without any countermeasures, it would mean he has no other techniques remaining. To their surprise, however, Tenma suddenly starts smiling. He has cracked the code, figuring out how to attack ahead of the monster instead of pursuing it. Both of them run at each other to launch an attack. The monster raises its gigantic hand and slams it toward our boy, cracking the entire arena upon impact. Instantly, the crew begins phoning the rescue squad, knowing that an electric rhino attack is no joke. But soon, everyone discovers that the attack never hit him. The creature stares around in perplexity, unable to locate its target. From behind, our boy strikes the creature with his black sphere, fully blowing away its face. The combat finishes within barely 12 seconds. Agaha is reluctant to comprehend that Tenma managed to fight a gigantic monster so decisively. When the others, Izumi and Fujihara, turn towards her, they realize how worried she looks. Uncommon sight indeed. She rapidly tries to brush it off, claiming that she was only praying for everyone's safety, and that she would have reacted the same way even if it were someone else. Her excessive explanations simply make them think that she has recently become oddly extroverted. The old geezer turns back to Heighten, wondering why Tenma had been evading attacks instead than countering head-on. Heighten reveals that the protagonist's speed is actually comparable to that of a purgatory giant. Once electricity starts flowing through his body, his speed rises considerably, and with that skill active, a purgatory giant cannot strike a hit on him. Delighted, the old geezer comments that the protagonist genuinely deserves first place. However, our child has no intention of stopping. His goal is to exceed the strongest human, Jin Taewa, and taking a break now would just mean losing progress. Without hesitation, he continues fighting the purgatory demons one after another. The old geezer recalls that even Heighten managed to reach Phase 4 in a single run. Heighten emphasizes that he only managed to go there and no further. Even then, they concede that Heighten himself had his limit in Phase 3. With that notion lingering, they continue watching our boy as he relentlessly struggles on. Tenma then devises a strategy to take down the second monster, and his plan succeeds brilliantly. For the third one, however, his method is altogether different. He gladly permits himself to be eaten by the monster, only to rend it apart from the inside. Our hero clears the purgatory giants in under 13 seconds. Fujihara is left startled, observing the skill that took out tons of players in the initial stage. Our hero's mana is all used up, but as long as the disaster beast keeps reproducing, his passive effect of Mana Sense will refill his tank. Right then, the Nightmare class Phase 4 begins, and 4 purgatory giants stand before our hero. Thanks to his passive skill, his mana is regained by 40%. If our protagonist clears Phase 4, he'll surpass Heighten's old self. And no one other from Jin Taewa has been able to clear it, which makes Heighten even more curious to know our hero's boundaries. Every time the flight speed of his skill penetrating the genuine sphere improves, the precision adds up too. So if Tenma boosts the speed a couple more times, he can easily land the attacks without coming closer to his enemy. However, with only a limited quantity of mana, Tenma needs to make every single one of his assaults count. Suddenly, the terrible monster whips forth shackles from everywhere and restrains our hero from movement. The behemoth bangs his hand into the ground and takes our hero in his fists. Our hero realizes he doesn't have any leverage, and to make things worse, the giant smashes the bones in his body and throws him back onto the ground. Seeing our hero laying hurt and bleeding in battle, Fujihara hurries Heighten to help him. Heighten is astonished, wondering whether this is where our hero's power reaches the ceiling. He rushes to rescue the fighter, when Izumi stops him from behind, claiming that Tenma still has some fight left in him. Everyone tries to argue with Izumi that now's not the time to discuss Tenma's capacity to fight, since if they don't save him, he would die. However, Izumi holds steady, feeling that our hero still possesses his ace. Fujihara is amazed how Izumi knows, and he explains that he can tell from our hero's eyes. That gaze is not of someone who has accepted death. Our protagonist stands before the purgatory giant, refusing to die in fight after everything he's done. During the combat with Reiji Kinoshita, Overmemesis activated his skill, but our hero halted the analysis immediately before it concluded, and all that was for a moment like this. Our hero resumes his analysis, and it promptly completes. Suddenly, Ageha cheers up seeing the fighter's blue lotus. Fujihara wonders what use the lotus is in this situation, while Heighten worries what's going on with Ageha. Our hero's Thunder Wave skill activates. Its active effect absorbs B rank or below lightning attacks into the body, and releasing absorbed lightning energy boosts the agility by 100%. With this skill, our hero fully heals his health and ceases messing about. Fujihara is startled to see our protagonist suddenly heal up faster than a specialized healer after he was beaten up so hard. He can't believe that this warrior has so many skills. Tenma pierces through the purgatory giants in an instant and clears Phase 4 in 31 seconds. Our hero stands certain that no matter how many giants come at him now, he won't lose. Right then a gigantic strikes him from above, and he shoots the behemoth, killing it in an instant. Our hero's flight speed improves by 2,700% as he continues to defeat the giants. He clears Phase 5 in less than a minute, and then Phase 6 in a minute and a half. Watching Tenma effortlessly slay the purgatory giants and clear all the phases, the onlookers' jaws drop to the floor. They can't understand if the actual monster is him or the purgatory giants. Our hero sits waiting for more purgatory giants, but none spawn. Fujihara, still in astonishment, smashes the microphone and tells Tenma that he wiped out every single purgatory giant they had in store. Our hero is amazed that he beat all the purgatory giants because he didn't know there was a difficulty cap. After losing count of killings throughout the combat, he wonders how many he killed. Since our protagonist can't level up, the experience from the disaster animals he killed drops his karma stones instead. Fujihara is surprised to see a karma stone in the testing field, and given its blue tint, he knows it has at least 10,000 experience points. Izumi says that our hero can't absorb experience, thus his XP is turned into karma stones instead. Right then, our hero goes through the gate, and Fujihara welcomes him with praises of his ability. He asks Tenma to come with him, promising him a wonderful tutor. Our hero politely dismisses the offer because he already has a teacher. Fujihara tries to convince him, stating that some random instructor couldn't handle a talent like him, and only someone with connections and resources can help him. Hiten advises the old man to quit bothering the young talent, otherwise he'll just detest him. The old man attempts to get Hiten to convince our hero since they can't let someone damage his skill. Right then our hero thanks Hiten, and the elderly man's face goes to amazement when Hiten reveals he didn't mind aiding Izumi's student. Fujihara is startled that the young talent is Izumi's student. He now understands Tenma's talent. Izumi checks up on his student for any injuries, but given how he was fired up to challenge Phase 7, she knows he's not hurt. Our hero tells his master that he's not harmed, but his stamina has run out, but assures him that he can recuperate after a brief rest. Fujihara now understands the young talent's skills. Izumi's other students also took off all the disaster animals in the second stage too. Our hero asks if Tewa also made it to Phase 6, but the old man says that back then they only had Phase 4 max. When it wasn't enough, they extended it to 8 this time, then expanded it to Phase 6 after that. Izumi then leads his student to watch as the other participants enter the second stage. Meanwhile, Rimi is too fatigued after finishing a rigorous session, and finds the horror class difficult to pass, and gives up. Seiya already did her best, and drowned the demons in a gigantic water sphere. With her mana nearly spent, she also finds the next level too impossible, and gives up. Our hero is astonished to see them already out, because he expected more from them. Fujihara tells him that most contestants can't even clear standard class. And considering how swiftly they defeated the electric rhino, he's convinced they'll land in the top 10. However, the two fighters haven't come out after giving up, because leaving the testing ground is not permitted unless badly injured. On the other side, the other competitors make it to the nightmare class. Hayton feels certain that Gaku Ue will be able to knock down at least one purgatory giant with his unique relic. But for Shion Akagami, who's a Shikigami user, getting it thus far shows her commitment to the war. Shion changes into a big monster and punches the giant with a strong punch. Our hero is shocked that Shikigami can shift into multiple forms, and wonders if Ageha's jade butterfly can do that too. However, Ageha tells him that she can't do it, and this is her first time seeing a change. Shikigami have numerous sorts, and their skills are a mystery, and she urges our hero to be careful if he ever encounters a Shikigami. Our hero now learns how strong Shikigamis are, and chooses to give all the XP drops to the black dog he stole from Charles from now on. With Seiya and Rimu already out, our Tenma sees no use in staying, and decides to depart. Right then, Ibra pulls his attention, and he's astonished to see his armor. The epic dragon gear is the strongest artifact Iberia's dad left for him. The artifact has a will of its own, and picks its master. Ibera went through hell to earn the armor, and with it his numbers go rising every minute. However, if he wears it longer than 15 minutes, he will be slapped with a penalty, so he has to finish it before that. As Ibera faces battle against the Purgatory Giants, he knows the announcement about Nightmare class being cleared was from Tenma. He tries to do his best to not drag down his companion, because the two of them together are double. Iberia jumps at the giant, bursting through its armor, and with it, the second stage ends. Fujihara says that only the top 10 with the highest points will progress to the national championship main event. The top 2 will earn special awards. Gaku feels convinced that no one other than Hanyu will have more points than him, and he will get that particular gift. Fujihara goes to present the top 10, and everyone's astonished to see the leaderboards. Everyone is amazed to see our hero score over 100,000 points, because even Jintewa only scored 60,000. They know he can easily capture first place in the nation with that score. Each Purgatory Giant is just 5,000 points per kill, and Rimu wonders how many our hero killed to reach his outrageous score. However, Ghana can't believe he earned third place, and some person he's never heard of has scored so much. Seiya gets uncomfortable at the gap between Tenma and her power, and she feels that she's not made for a fighting job. Fujihara declares that the provincial qualifiers are over, and Tenma leads the national standings on top with a lead of 65,000 points. Ibra can't see his father's face, but he knows that he's delighted. He celebrates for his friend earning first place, but he also feels pleased of himself for not insulting the name of Double One. The 21st Savior Alliance National Tournament qualifying are concluded, as our hero drags his companion out after a grueling battle. Meanwhile, in the South Continent District 1, a fighter is upset to come out so early to see an elderly man meditate. His companion tells him to be careful, since the old man in front of him is the commander of the South Continent who can predict the future. However, the fighter asks why they only get told after the barriers are deployed every time, because if Bargar can predict the future, he should be able to tell where the monoliths will fall in advance. Bargar can only forecast a brief duration of the future, yet the reason he sits among the heavyweights of humanity like Izumi is because his prophecy is 100% true. Suddenly Bargar panics and falls. His followers assist him up, and he yells out that the North is in danger. A big disaster beast is coming to hit the northern continent soon, and among them is a catastrophe beast reaching level 100. Tenma's numbers finally break 1500 points. Finally, each level up adds 50 stat points, thus 1500 puts our hero at roughly level 30 as a Terrical Awakener. Agility and defense may improve forever, owing to passive skills, and the mana restores infinitely with Mana Sense's passive. But the attack power is the only thing our hero has no way of raising, and he wonders whether he can. His buddies ask him to dinner, and he sets it aside for the moment, and decides to work out a way of gaining a skill to improve his attack power later. At the supper table, our hero finds Ibera missing. Ajia tells him that she treated him earlier, and his wounds are healed, but he was incredibly weary, so he's still sleeping. Rimu was amazed that Iberia cleared the nightmarish class that even he and Saya couldn't beat. Suddenly, Saya is startled, seeing something behind. She instructs Rimu to look behind him, and a tall figure shocks Rimu too. Iberia jumps at the meal and starts eating desperately. Rimu scolds him for scaring him and eating at someone else's table. Ibera lays the plate down, which makes Rimu assume he wants to fight, but instead he just takes a sigh after having great dinner. After finding that Rimu created the food, Iberia encourages him to quit becoming an awakener and become a chef instead, because he's more expert at that. Right then, Izumi stops their dinner and asks the saviors what they are frightened of the most. Rimu takes a moment to think about what he's terrified of. His aim is to become a rescuer and save a lot of money to travel the world and enjoy gourmet food. Therefore, his worry is aging. He worries that if he becomes old, he won't have the stamina to tour the world, and his taste will deteriorate so much that he won't be able to discern the flavors difference. Seiya was born into a family of doctors. Therefore, she grew up at a hospital. From a young age, she observed so many people suffer from all types of diseases. It scared her to the point that she feels terrified even when someone has simply a normal cold. Our hero now realizes Seiya rushed away since he sneezed the other day. Izumi tells them that an awakener's life is double that of a normal person, and they also rarely get sick, so they may let go of their anxieties now. However, Iberia's fear was not passing the qualifiers, and now that he has, he's terrified of not being able to battle with Tenma. After revealing his dread, he urges Tenma to spill his terror. Everyone thinks that their friend doesn't have anything that he's terrified of. Our hero explains that after his parents died, he was frightened about his survival. His body was taken over by emotions like helplessness, hatred, and grief, until Seiya and Rimu stood in front of him. As he was crying, they walked up to him and urged him to gaze up at the lovely sky instead of looking down. They offered to take him to a hospital if he's unwell, and meals to erase all his anxieties. His friend's warmth got him out of the terrible world, and after that, he met Sensei, a gay man, and Iberia. It made him feel that he gained a family. Our hero reveals that it's been a long time since he felt this kind of relief, and he wants that this moment could last forever. But above all, he was scared of living by himself. Ajaha is emotional seeing our hero so soft and serene and utterly different from the chilling impression he had before. Iberia quickly jumps to hug him and pledges to never leave him. Izumi informs them that he asked everyone this question to determine if there's a possibility that they would regret the route they're taking when they become saviors and confront actual peril, since a savior must never regret. He advises everyone to keep in mind that a death without regret is every savior's ultimate goal. He then instructs everyone to rest, because Kisaragi and Horino have to return to the North District tomorrow. The next morning, everyone says their goodbyes. Iberia tells Rimu to make him his home cooking sometime again. Seeing him cry, our hero wonders when he became so close to Rimu. Our hero realizes that he wanted to ask Seiya something, and decides to ask her in the major event now. Suddenly, Ajaha jumps in, running towards them to notify Izumi about some top-secret information from the South Continent. She tells Izumi that the clearance level for the intel is exceedingly high, and it can only be released to saviors level 50 or above, and continent commanders. Izumi encourages Ajaha to convey the news, since he trusts our hero and his companion. Ajaha tells Izumi about the prophecy from Elder Bargar, that a great calamity beast attack will happen in the northern continent during the next 3 days. Tenma asks if the prophecy is reliable, and his friend tells him that Bargar is a renowned prophet across the 5 continents, and his forecast is like a definite future. Ajaha hurries Izumi to depart the northern continent swiftly. Izumi knows that there must be a reason for the disaster beast to launch a huge attack, and he feels that he's likely to be the target. Izumi considers staying in the northern continent to serve as bait, but Ajaha argues that battle isn't his skill, and he shouldn't risk staying behind. She advises him to flee the central continent for the time being. Our hero agrees with Ajaha and promises to stay and fight. However, Izumi refuses to back down and tells Tenma that he wants him to do something different. Our hero says that safeguarding his teacher is the most important thing. But Izumi tells him that Iberia's father, Aiden, is the most skillful crafter on the 5 continents, and it would be horrible if something bad happened to him. So Izumi asks his pupil to go with Iberia and watch Aiden, and plans to send some awakeners as a backup too. Seeing Izumi splitting forces simply to protect Iberia's dad, he wonders whether he's attempting to keep him away from the battlefield. Izumi then begs Ajaha for 3 things. He asks her to broadcast the attack to the citizens of the northern continents, and have level 50 and lower awakeners safely evacuate them. The other instruction is to warn the level 50 and higher awakeners in the continent, and have them prepared to intercept the calamity animals at any moment. He wants Aiden to also travel to the North District, where the population is minimal, so they don't have to worry about putting humans in danger, because he planned to intercept the calamity animals head-on. Ajaha informs her father that all the arrangements have been made, and that Aiden will be arriving soon. As he dismisses her, he observes a tinge of hesitancy in her expression. It doesn't take long for him to grasp that she's wondering about one thing: why he chose to send Tenma to Aiden in the first place. Ajaha is unable to disguise that curiosity, and having no reason to dodge the matter, he starts to explain. He tells her that they are expecting the emergence of foretold disaster beasts, monsters whose levels might easily exceed 100. If Tenma were to confront such beings, he would be obliged to battle severely, and in doing so, he would involuntarily disclose all of the skills he now possesses. Ajaha instantly argues back, pointing out the danger in that logic. By sharing Tenma's strongest powers so openly, they would also be notifying the catastrophe animals of his strengths, giving them time to devise countermeasures, and ultimately kill him nonetheless. Her father then reveals another discovery he has made about Tenma. Despite his adaptability, he obviously lacks sheer attack power. According to a report circulating within high-level circles, Aiden holds an artifact capable of dramatically enhancing offensive strength. If Tenma were able to acquire that artifact, he would become an awakener who possesses practically every potential skill, closing the one gap that presently keeps him back. At roughly 8 p.m., on the first day of the prophecy, monoliths began showering down upon the districts of the northern continent, announcing the official commencement of the assault. In North District 2, Tenma and Iberia are rushing through the streets, headed toward Iberia's father, well aware that a disaster beast attack could come at any time. Suddenly, they spy a monolith descending from the sky and know that the attack has already begun, crashing exactly in the midst of the city. Tenma isn't clear whether all the citizens have successfully escaped. If a calamity beast were to come right now, casualties would be unavoidable. As panic spreads, the residents of the city begin to run for their lives, just as the Elder Bargar had warned. Meanwhile, Tenma attentively studies the barrier developing around the place. He finds himself divided between 2 terrible decisions: saving the civilians, knowing that abandoning them would result in many fatalities, or focusing totally on their objective, knowing that assisting civilians would simply slow them down and constitute a big impediment. He finds that he can't bring himself to ask Iberia to help with the evacuations. Iberia is clearly anxious about his father, and hasn't even asked for a break, despite being very weary. However, before Tenma can say anything, Iberia willingly offers aiding the civilians first. With that, they rapidly shift strategies, deciding to kill out the calamity beast within the city before anything else. Inside the city, a flame golem, level 21, has already appeared. Several heroes are urgently fighting to hold it off, but their levels are substantially lower than the beast's, making the situation a complete lose-lose scenario. As they exchange glances and survey the damage, they realize they can't do much more. One by one, they decide to turn and run for their lives. All but one water elementalist. The man goes forward to confront the creature. Even though fear consumes his entire body, he is virtually wetting his trousers, but he refuses to exhibit his panic publicly. Through pure determination, He manages to take the monster down once. However, as the flame golem revives itself, it lets out a thunderous roar and discharges a tremendous surge of flames. At that instant, everyone realizes the same thing. They are set to be converted into grilled chicken. Just as all hope seems lost, Tenma emerges and shields the rising flames, defending them effortlessly. He instantly directs Iberia to shepherd the citizens to safety, while he handles the beast alone. The civilians stare in awe at the wall of ice that covers them and urgently ask Iberia whether they are saviors. Iberia instantly dismisses the assertion, yet he boldly asserts that he will overtake Jintiwa someday. The civilians, still terrified, lash out at him, labeling him a brat, despite the fact that he saved their lives. Then their attention swings towards our hero. They discover Tenma standing there, completely clad in ice armor. For a moment, they wonder if his body itself is some kind of artifact. Some time ago, Izumi had told Tenma about the black sphere he employs. While it possesses great strength, its casting time is far too long. As a truly strong disaster beast, its flight speed can't even be termed rapid. If the first shot were to miss, the enemy would immediately become cautious, making it even harder to land a second strike. Izumi told him to avoid using it as much as possible, and only rely on it when it was absolutely necessary, when he was 100% convinced he could finish the opponent in one hit. Back in the present, Tenma knows that utilizing the black sphere in the middle of a crowd will only draw more attention to him, especially when people are already muttering about his being a high-level awakener. He decides instead to rely exclusively on overwhelming force. Activating his thunder wave, he leaps into the air and throws a crushing kick straight to the monster's head, sending it tumbling into the ground. The audience is left speechless. A disaster beast is being knocked down by someone who seems no older than a teenager. Many feel that the flame golem must have already been gravely harmed. The citizens who observed the action up close know better. They can't believe that a level 21 flame golem was unable to even lay a touch on him. This further increases their perplexity, making them question who Tenma truly is. As soon as the monster is defeated, Tenma and Iberia promptly escape the place. The remaining heroes are left standing in stunned silence, unable to absorb the astounding show of power they just witnessed. While running with his companion, Tenma reflects on the fight. The fact that an instant kill was impossible against a calamity beast of that rank doesn't speak well for what is ahead. If creatures like this are merely the beginning, then what awaits them will be considerably worse. One thing is plain to him now. He must discover a means to boost his power, no matter the cost. Iberia is impressed by his friend's quickness. However, our hero thinks that his speed is useless without power. Iberia recognizes the truth to it and tells him that there's a way to raise the assault power. So, he informs Tenma that his father's storehouse is full with artifacts, and there has to be one that might improve attack power. And since he's strong and a student of Izumi, his dad will undoubtedly give him one. Iberia begins drooling, envisioning his friend covered in relics, and hurries him to get to his house to collect something from his dad. Our hero thought he was holding back his pace, but watching his companion panting so much, even with his agility, makes him realize that he's straining to stay up. So, our hero collects his companions so that he doesn't get too fatigued to face the calamity beast, and makes a dash for it. Iberia shouts in panic for going too fast, but our hero advises him to put up with it for wasting too much time. After a short while of sprinting, Iberia sighs a sigh of relief for making there in one piece. Our hero queries why his friend's dad lives in a deep forest when a town's much safer, and Iberia answers that his dad finds it too noisy to concentrate on making in town. However, he advises his friend from underestimating the defense because there are thousands of traps all around the site. Our hero now recognizes why he was feeling the traces of mana, and his friend tells him that he'll be alright as long as he follows the route. Tenma knows he can evade the traps with his mana sense. His pal, feeling overly certain of himself, unexpectedly walks on a trap. He starts terrified since the trap he walked on is the most troublesome. Our hero feels the mana increasing stronger, and suddenly an enormous iron golem rises before them. Our hero is amazed that the old man even has humanoid artifacts. The iron golem swings his arm to assault Iberia, but our hero jumps in and blocks the punch. As our hero stands against the golem, he understands that the artifact's assault power is stronger than him. However, he still can't destroy the artifact with his piercing true sphere because it's designed to protect his friend's dad. He asks Iberia whether there's any way to stop the golem, and Iberia urges him to go for the karma stone in its chest because it's the power source. Our hero activates his thunder wave because he may be weaker in attack power, but he's faster. He rapidly climbs through the iron golem's arm and steals its karma stone. Suddenly, Iberia yells at Jusuke to stop. Our hero is astonished when he turns around and discovers a man taking a swing at him. Jusuke clarifies that he thought they were bandits, and our hero wonders how he crept in without any mana waves. Even more, he's astonished to see the sword disappear. Iberia presents his friend to Jusuke and attempts to give him additional facts. Jusuke tells them that the old man is in the back, but urges them to be careful because he's in a terrible temper. Iberia eagerly tells his dad that he passed the preliminaries and he cleared Nightmare class, finishing 4th in the region. He asks his dad to fulfill his promise and give him an item of his choice. But instead of a relic, Iberia gets a slap to the face. His dad begs him to return the dragon gear he took. Iberia tries to explain that he simply borrowed the relic, but his dad scolds him for because wearing the dragon armor for too long carries irreparable repercussions. Iberia walks out upset, and the elderly man looks to our hero, recognizing him as Izumi's student. Our hero introduces himself and tells the old man that he was assigned to guard him because of the prophecy about a big calamity beast attack. The old man knows Izumi has high standards and rarely takes in disciples, which makes him question why he would choose someone so ordinary-looking like our hero. Suddenly, the old man's eyes open wide in horror as he realizes that the boy in front of him may have his level repaired. The old guy thinks that our hero is faking his stats using some type of relic, but Tenma reminds him that he isn't. The old guy now sees why Izumi requested the relic. He informs the boy that his teacher is skilled at understanding his gains and losses and constantly asks some return. However, our hero didn't hear anything about a return and was merely ordered to guard the old man. Aiden tells our hero that he received a contact asking for a certain artifact in exchange for letting Izumi's disciple defend him. Our hero doesn't mind guarding the old guy even without acquiring an artifact, but the elderly man doesn't mind handing him one. However, Aiden wonders why Izumi purposely chose a failed product. Originally, it was an item created to bring out the greatest attack strength of an awakener, but suddenly a crack emerged on it. The artifact's level became unknown, and a mystery broken effect was added to it. The broken impact is that the critical rate resets when the user's level increases. So, the item becomes entirely useless for a typical awakener. The old man was mystified why Izumi sought this relic, but now viewing his stats, he realizes the purpose. The old man thinks our protagonist special. He doesn't know how he becomes stronger, but he believes the relic could be great for Tenma, whose level doesn't increase. As he fights disaster animals, his critical rate will finally reach 100%, and in the future, every strike will be strengthened by 10 times. Our hero equips the shattered critical crystal, but the critical rate only grows when he overcomes adversaries with higher attack power than him, which is a bit challenging. So, he decides to work out countermeasures after surviving the attack. Aiden finds the relic suitable for Tenma. Our hero thanks the old man, but Aiden feels that he manufactures the artifact while they fight the creatures, so a thanks is not needed. He informs our hero that the disaster creatures won't attack such a remote place unless they already know his whereabouts, and tells him to rest. Suddenly, something falls, and as everyone looks up, they're astonished to see a green barrier in the sky. Only the commanders-in-chief of the 5 continents knew Aiden's location, which makes him wonder if the memorial stone falling here was a coincidence. Jusuke warns everyone to keep back, but our hero tells him that the calamity animals are already headed to them. Our protagonist can feel something approaching them with extraordinary speed. The creatures rush in, and one of them swings his sharp claws at Tenma. Our hero grabs the beast and chops through it. No matter how many animals of this rank come at our hero, he feels certain that he can simply finish them off with a lotus explosion. He thinks that Jusuke could also be able to take the lotus explosion, but concerns that Aiden and Iberia, who are hidden in the hut behind, would become involved if he uses the lotus explosion too carelessly. Our hero clears through the creatures and stands back. He then senses another much bigger wave of magic power as more monsters head towards him. Meanwhile, the Demon King Yamaraja informs his lord that the first wave of the advance party, comprised of lower-class slaves, has been sent to the human realm. He asks the lord which of the 8 demon kings should be entrusted with the command of the main troop. However, the lord tells them that he observed the existence of an important person in the human world with the eye he left behind during his last visit to the human world, and wants them to capture him. Yamaraja wonders if that mission will be handed to one of the 8 demon kings also, but the lord feels that a demon king class will destroy the eye he left behind, and decides to entrust the task to a demon general instead. As for the command of the main troops, he decides to give it to the ape-eating demon, because he hasn't eaten a living person in a long time. Our boy suddenly hears Iberia's voice nearby, and thinks whether some beast managed to creep into the room. Once on cue, a level 24 horned guardian monster spawns in, looking for a scrap. Tenma gets serious, and understands it's finally time to quit sandbagging and pull out that one ability he's been holding on ice. He observes this mob is hitting harder than normal, which is actually a W for him, since it boosts his crit rate. According to the system, his broken crystal raises his crit rate by a lot, and every time he levels up it resets, so he's ready to farm some stats. With the plan set, Tenma fires his clear orb to test the new skill, and a beam of purple energy swiftly drills through the monster, destroying it in one shot. Just like that, his crit rate approaches 1%, everything going according to plan. He tells Hosek to hold things down outside while he handles the pest control inside, then sprints toward the cabin at full speed to make sure his friend doesn't get offspring murdered. Inside, Iberia is pinned to the ground with a horned demon atop him, absolutely defenseless without his dragon gear. He's almost ready to admit defeat when his dad unexpectedly jumps in and blocks the attack with a big hammer. Iberia is stunned. He always believed his dad was simply a typical artisan, but Aiden doesn't even flinch. Then, the monster lunges at the elderly man to finish him off, but before it can even reach him, our child flashes in and pushes all his power straight into the beast's chest, finishing it off for good. Our boy apologizes for the delayed entrance, while the old guy asks about the scenario outside. Tenma comments that the magic signatures have gone silent, implying Hosek likely cleaned the board out there. Looking out, they witness the sheer wreckage the guy left behind, and Iberia is genuinely shook by how much of a powerhouse the guy turned out to be. Hoseki is eager to keep the momentum continuing and solo the remaining beasts and the barrier, but Tenma puts the brakes on that idea. He instructs him to stay behind and babysit Aiden and Iberia instead. In that moment, the old guy catches a glimpse of Tenma's eyes and understands the boy isn't terrified at all. He's truly hungry for the fight. Seeing that sheer exhilaration, Aiden chooses to trust him to handle the barrier single. Hosek is a bit scared, since a green barrier signifies mobs up to level 26, but our boy doesn't even hesitate. He blasts off at the barrier like a lightning bolt, hyped to finally go all out. Iberia tries to follow, telling Hosek to watch his dad so he can back up his colleague. But the old father shuts that down fast, warning his son to stop being delusional. He tells him straight up that they live in a completely different universe compared to Tenma. Iberia tries to argue about collaboration and guarding each other's backs, but Aiden hits him with the brutal honesty special, calling him dead weight and stating he'd only be in the way. Those comments hit Iberia like a truck, especially coming from his own father. Aiden explains that the typical principles of collaboration don't apply to someone like him, and he asks his son whether he's ever genuinely looked into the boy's eyes during a fight. Iberia has no comeback for that, now recognizing exactly how vast the deficit actually is. Back at the barrier, the system pings 5 foes nearby and instantly tops off our boy's magic by 50%. Surrounded on all sides, he doesn't even break a sweat, warning the monsters to get out of his path before they get hurt. He initiates a Lotus Burst, and the resulting blast is so massive it deletes all 5 adversaries in one go, increasing his critical rate up to 2%. Far away, Iberia and Josuke witness the trees light up from the explosion and go absolutely tense. Josuke concludes that the guy's delayed leveling isn't about a lack of competence. It's surely related to some particular broken gift he's hiding. Inside the green dome, our boy can feel the vibe changing immediately. The monsters in here are built different. His magic detection is blurry because the barrier is practically a signal jammer, but he remembers his master's guidance to color-coded danger. Green indicates he's looking at level 26 to 50 creatures, which honestly simply seems like a smorgasbord of experience points to him. He summons his new monster, a B-rank level 16 Deathhound, and gives the good boy a pat, promising that the wolf may get all the XP from this run. With that, he starts going toward the barrier. Dead serious, the creatures inside are his prey now. Over at a private estate that same night, things are getting rather tense. A young woman lets her parents know the awakened guards have finally landed down, including a gentleman named Chirijimaki, who's a level 63 first-grade savior donning some heavy armor. Even though the perimeter is apparently safe, the daughter is low-key worried since she can't get a hold of Heighton, a special-grade savior who ghosted her calls 6 hours ago. She says he might have gotten into trouble with monsters on the way, but her dad tosses it off like the local monsters are just a little annoyance. With this, he argues they require Heighton, saying only a special grade can handle the monsters coming from the north. The armored warrior Chiri isn't feeling the enthusiasm for the special grade elites though. He starts being a bit excessive, claiming the distance between first grade and special grade is largely a myth, and that he can handle any beast that shows up. The old man shoots it down fast, calling him crazy, and that overconfidence usually comes from never fighting a true final boss monster. The trash talk gets cut short when a monolith drops from the sky, and calamity animals start streaming in. Even with Heighton still missing in action, Chiri steps up with some big main character vibes, stating he's gonna solo the whole wave just to prove first graders are genuinely cracked. Back at the green barrier, our boy and his wolf find themselves in a scary mirror version of the woodland. A green beam shoots up, and he knows the barrier is its own separate dimension, since his magic detection is only receiving up signals from the inside. The system pings 5 foes, instantly topping up his magic, so he gives his wolf a good boy pat and tells him to play goalkeeper at the entrance. With this, he lights up his electric powers, preparing to clear the room. Just then, 2 enormous units attack him, but he's too swift, evading the first and body slamming the second with his black wall. He finishes the combo with an electrifying blast that sends the last of the mobs flying. When a much bigger elite monster tries to step up, our boy doesn't even let it finish its intro. He blasts his clear orbs directly through its face, raising his critical rate to 3%. Dropping the monster, he checks out the green monolith, wondering whether he can just one-tap it to collapse the barrier, but the system pings one more enemy. He locks back in, knowing there's still one last boss waiting in the shadows. Without unexpectedly, many black spikes erupt from the earth, nearly skewering Tenma. He dodges barely in time, realizing that if his magical sensor hadn't picked up that split-second ripple, he'd be an actual kebab right now. He looks toward the monolith and discovers the source of the attack lying behind it, immediately registering that this beast is a different breed compared to the fodder he's been eliminating. This isn't just a mindless creature. It's something much more terrifying. From the outside, the big green barrier looks like a large dome, consuming a huge portion of the forest. Iberia is standing there, looking very wounded and stressed, fearing he's merely dead weight for his pal. Josuke tries to give him a reality check, stressing that green barriers are a totally other beast compared to the mindless gray ones. While gray barrier monsters just smash objects, green barriers can generate intelligent generals like a level 34, 4-horned beast. Josuke tells him he's not a burden because he's weak, but because Tenma is just constructed different and presently plays on a level most people can't even touch. Inside the dome, our guy is truly eager to finally find one of the mythical intelligent monsters. Tenma is straight up trash-talking him, asking if he's murmuring prayers and labeling him a coward for being level 0. It thinks he's shivering from fear, but Tenma just flashes a devilish grin and tells the monster he's actually just buzzing with delight. With that, our boy starts enveloping himself in absolute strength and asks the beast if it can feel pain. This totally ignites the monster, which shouts that a measly human could never damage it. It leaps forward, swinging its bladed limbs with enough force to eliminate anything in its path. The beast sparks up his electricity and meets the charge head-on, firing a cutting response that rips through the air. He believes he's winning, but suddenly he notices something. Sus. The monster's magic is actually climbing mid-fight, and his reflexes are getting even faster. The trouble is that our boy's raw attack power is still a bit low, and his strikes are hardly making a scratch on the creature's thick hide. The monster is low-key intrigued by the agility, but dismisses him anyway, calling him a bug and claiming 100 feeble hits wouldn't even tickle. Our child retains his calm, using his superhuman speed to weave among the bladed attacks and even using the monster's own appendages to counter the incoming punches. As the pressure grows, he stays flawlessly defensive and challenges the beast to actually land a hit if it thinks it's really about that life. The beast gradually catches on that our boy is burning up electrical merely to redline his pace, and it starts wondering exactly how much magic he has left in the tank. During the high-speed trade, our boy finds the creature's antennae are actually part of its main body, which explains why his mimesis skill was acting strangely and not triggering on them. He keeps concentrated on the grind, dodging assaults while keeping a mental score of every hit he lands. The monster thinks the effort is worthless, but with his magic entering the red zone, Tenma decides it's time to quit playing it safe and go for the all-in play. He steps up the frequency of his attacks, knowing that all he needs is one lucky critical hit to end the fight. Every minor scratch he lands fills up the system's hidden meter, while the monster only scoffs, thinking its bladed armor is unbreakable. In his effort to stack the hits, Tenma goes a touch too aggressive and eats a heavy counter with a tentacle going through his torso. The monster mocks him, asking where all that big talk about suffering went, yet it privately gives him praise for having a defense stat high enough to really survive the hit. Just as things look iffy, a red aura explodes around our boy, the warning from the crystal that his pity timer is up. His next move is guaranteed to be a crit. Putting every ounce of power he has left into one move, he drives a huge fist straight into the monster's chest. The impact is completely nuclear. The following shockwave clears out the surrounding woodland and blindsides the beast with explosive intensity. The monster is planted in a tree, staring at the big dent in its chest and wondering how a level 0 human simply pulled a one-shot move out of nowhere. Even the MC is a bit shocked by how hard the critical hit truly landed. Standing over the wrecked creature, Tenma is vibing on a mix of pure adrenaline and delight. Even though he's got a terrible wound on his stomach, he can't feel a thing. with steam coming from his breath and a scary-looking smirk, he grabs the beast and asks whether it finally realizes what agony feels like. The monster is afraid, branding him a cheater because his power scaling makes little logic. Our boy just points out that the other fodder didn't even live long enough to scream before finishing the beast down for good. As the boss falls down, his critical rate grows to a permanent 4%. The second the adrenaline settles, the pain from his stomach wound hits him like a truck. He realizes the barrier has gone transparent, which is the universal indicator that everything has cleared. He hobbles over to the green monolith, knowing its destruction is the last aim, and shatters it with one more fist. As the pieces fall, he drops to the ground, exhausted but relieved. He remembers he left his new buddy on XP farming duty and reaches out for his wolf, Death. When the wolf appears, it's noticeably chunkier than previously. The system confirms the wolf leveled up 3 times and gained 150 status points, indicating that the wolf actually physically grows every time it hits a new level. Our boy glances at his growing wolf with true delight, already wondering how large this creature can actually get. Then, in the middle of the night, the green barrier finally flickers and dissolves, leaving the warriors totally startled. Josuke watches the dome dissolve with a dead serious expression, recognizing this beginner just speedran a high-level barrier in 10 minutes flat, a feat that makes the veteran's own stats look like amateur hour. But the win came with a hefty price. The boy is slumped against a boulder, appearing absolutely wasted and covered in wounds, while Death stands over him like a loyal bodyguard, watching his master's decreasing health bar with concern. Since he's simply too spent to walk, our hero tells his wolf to track his magical trail back to where his blonde teammate is waiting. Without missing a beat, the suddenly gigantic wolf howls, which echoes through the mountains. Back at the camp, the armored veteran hears the sound and immediately becomes dubious, questioning why there are still beast noises if the barrier is reportedly cleared. He rushes into full combat mode and instructs the young apprentice to get to safety, but the youngster freezes, recognizing that cry from their earlier scrap. Suddenly, a giant shadow explodes from the trees, and Josuke pulls out his colossal sword, ready to one-tap whatever leaped out of the bushes. But Iberia learns its death at the last second. He pleads for the warrior to hold his fire, claiming that the enormous wolf is truly on their side. Death dodges Josuke's swing with some high-level agility, cautiously shielding the unconscious master on its side. Josuke stands there looking absolutely perplexed, unable to wrap his brain around how a level 0 player is out here commanding top-grade spirits. Seeing that, Iberia races over in a total panic, wondering how his buddy is out here multi-classing with spirit abilities on top of everything else. He sees our boy as basically a mass of injuries and anxiously begs what type of monster he had to fight to end up in this position. Tenma manages to stammer a desire for some rest before passing out cold, which throws Iberia into another round of furious shrieking. Josuke had to step in and play the adult, pointing out that the guy is still breathing and simply needs some medical attention. Back at their house, as he watches his friend sleeping in bed, Iberia enters a moment of serious introspection, understanding the power gap between them is literally a canyon. He thinks about his own duty as a wind elementalist, a class developed for managing air and movement. His unique C-rank gift, Healing Wind, is created for support, but it comes with a severe decrease to his own damage output, something he's always disliked and refused to use. But seeing his teammate on the edge of a game over, he resolves to cease being stubborn. He uses the skill, and a light green aura surrounds him as he pours his magic into Tenma. Even though the healing process seems terrible, he sticks at it, softly imploring his comrade to pull through so they can keep grinding as a team. Just when things seem to be cooling down, a giant purple barrier drops over the whole region like a horrible nightmare, caused by a brand new monolith. A split second later, a deadly strike cuts through a building like it's made of paper. The young woman from earlier tries to use her butterfly healing power to save the downed warrior, but he screams at her to run for her life. He's gazing down a level 81 Minotaur fighter from the Bull tribe and thinks humanity is basically cooked against something that muscular. The armored fighter Chiri warns their leader Izumi to run, but he just stands there like a total Chad. Hearing that name, the monster is delighted that it's found its victim so quickly and swings its gigantic fist at him. As the assault lands, it causes a powerful explosion that rocks the battlefield. The girl with spectacles gets blasted back, crying for her father, who just taken a direct strike to the face. However, when the dust settles, Izumi is hardly scratched and nonchalantly shouts out, complaining that someone showed up late. It turns out it's Heighten, who came in clutch and halted the guy's attack with one hand. He calmly apologizes for the sluggish arrival and instructs the group to move aside and allow him handle the enormous cow. The Minotaur scoffs at the new adversary, but Heighten doesn't spend time on a dialogue tree. He unleashes a blow so powerful, it drills a hole clear through the creature's upper body. Seeing that, Shiri looks like his jaw is going to hit the floor. He starts thinking whether this is what a special class savior genuinely looks like, practically a monster in human skin. The young woman starts cheering, but Heighten shuts it down, telling her that the actual boss fight is just starting, as the barrier turns from purple to a blood-red tint. Tucked aside in the shadows of the barrier, a red-flamed demon is watching the chaos with a cruel grin. This guy is a level 37 king, and he's hyped to see how his master is going to punish the humans next. A level 49 white ogre is hiding behind him, ready to scrap. The demon general among them encourages the ogre to keep it calm, reminding him that their mission is a precision strike to capture a specific target, not just a random briefing session. The level 87 demon general talks down the grand strategy, stating that they employ the purple and red barriers as a major distraction to keep the heavy-hitting humans busy. The flame demon looks a bit bewildered and asks why they were dispatched with Lord Saru. The general says that if all three of them stay together inside a barrier, it would glow purple and stand out too much. According to him, the crimson barrier that Lord Saru generates will draw strong humans nearby, allowing them to carry out Lord Linga's goal without hindrance. As they're chatting, the gigantic beast, Lord Saru, roars from inside the crimson barrier. According to them, when the world ranker types are preoccupied by the red barrier, the demon group is planned to slip away with their reward. He discloses that Lord Linga is leading them with a demonic eye already placed in the human realm, providing them a live 4K feed of their objective, which is Tenma. Our MC jolts awake like he just had a big shock, soaked in cold perspiration, with one eye flashing a demonic crimson. Still confined in bed, he can't shake the heavy vibes from the nightmare he just experienced about his late mother. In the dream, a younger version of himself was gleefully gloating to her about finally discovering a beast that could feel pain, claiming he'd accomplished his retribution. But his mom's ghost wasn't feeling it. She gently advised him that retribution isn't the move, and encouraged him to utilize his damaged powers to protect the people he loves, instead of just looking for blood. Ling Tenma absolutely lost it at that, yelling that forgiving the bastards who took his parents was a clear no-go. With his eyes flaming with pure anger, he pledged to wipe out every single beast in existence. His mom only offered him a sad fading grin as she started to glitch out of the dream, telling him she had to go. He anxiously sought to clasp her hand, but their fingers barely touched each other for a nanosecond before she vanished into light, leaving him screaming and alone in the dark. The mood gets even darker when a mystery voice starts criticizing him for grieving over a dead person. Our child turns around and sees his sleep paralysis demon, the genuine demon of destruction. The demon insults him for acting like a child, which produces a red aura of rage around the lad. He charges in for a punch, but the demon only wraps him in purple energy, telling him he's about to feel that shattering sensation again. Our boy's body starts breaking like glass, and he's still yelling that he's going to eliminate Linga from existence right up until his dream self shatters into pieces. Snapping back to consciousness, Tenma is gasping for air, his crimson eyes still flashing as he sees Iberia has passed out right next to him. He gets a severe, phantom ache in his eyes that makes zero sense given he's physically okay, and he starts overthinking what that nightmare was trying to teach him. Just then, he discovers his wounds are basically gone, and realizes his friend must have spent the whole night polishing his healing skills to patch him up. Seeing Iberia completely knocked out from tiredness, our boy feels a bit bad. He signals Death to stay quiet, but the foolish lets out a loud scream anyhow. That instantly wakes Iberia up, and he enters into defense mode, thinking his friend is under attack. Our boy merely sits there, totally unbothered by the light breeze, internally observing that a tickle from a feather would definitely hit harder. Seeing his companion alive and well, giving him a massive hug, and exclaiming that his healing powers actually did the trick. When asked how long he was out, the boy claims it's just been around 3 hours. But that's enough to make our boy realize they are officially on day 2 of the prophecy. Even though his companion swears things have been quiet, our boy can't shake the strange feelings from his nightmare, and puts on his coat, refusing to lower his guard for even a second. As they head off, he worries about Josuke. His friend starts talking about naming the enormous wolf, but our boy shuts it down, saying he's not a true summoner, even though he plainly doesn't want anyone interfering with his wolf's marking. When they step outdoors, Josuke spots him, and casually points out that it wasn't simply the bandages that healed him. He asks if it was Iberia who finally used his ability. Hearing that, Tenma is a little astonished that the guy's actually a healer, but he immediately tosses it aside, adding he can fight too. Still, Tenma makes a mental note of it as they move over to the veteran fighter by the campfire. Our boy asks the veteran if the backup has arrived yet, which strikes Josuke as a bit strange. He points out that the forest is a true maze, making travel a terrible slog. But Tenma isn't buying it. He's starting to sense a dark, heavy energy creeping through the blackness, feeling like something horrible is closing in on their location. Meanwhile, far away, a squad of reinforcements is actually rushing through the woods, seeking to reach Tenma's party. A guy with a ponytail is moaning to his colleague Kobayashi about the surroundings, but staying psyched because finishing this assignment promises a hefty promotion. Suddenly, a pink-haired girl in the group instructs everyone to kill the engine and stop. She noticed something strange and advises the squad to get into battle positions since something is going their way fast. Right on cue, they spy two shadowy figures who also know that they've been spotted and emerge out of the brush. And it turns out it's the flame-haired demon together with his white ogre stalker. The flaming demon slaps them with a sadistic smile, wondering whether they're all heading to the same party. Before they can even respond, the demon summons a flaming skeleton to join the fight. The fire demon criticizes the humans for being fragile, bragging that one fireball was all it took to ignite the carnage. Nearby, the white ogre is standing over a flattened warrior, having just pounded the guy into the soil. The fire demon even notes on how extra the ogre was for hitting the person that hard, making it apparent these reinforcements are in for a long night. The pink-haired girl is utterly whirling, demanding to know how these creatures hatched without a barrier. The fire demon just slaps her with a nasty sneer, conjuring a fireball, while bragging about how far they've traveled just to destroy her day. She starts wailing in absolute despair, understanding she's trapped in a no-win situation, while the demon general casually glances at the fire demon and cautions it not to touch his kill. Suddenly, the fire demon gets hit with an ice attack out of nowhere, freezing him solid on the spot. The demon general makes it obvious that this was simply a warning shot, and things will become far worse if he doesn't stay in his lane. Furious, the fire demon manages to fracture the ice and burst away with his flames, silently sweating over how close he came to a permanent game over. Meanwhile, the girl is just standing there in astonishment, watching these two powerhouses flex on each other. She wonders whether they're genuinely going to let her walk away, but the fire demon isn't persuaded she's worth the mercy. The demon general, however, merely wants to try out a fresh present from its master. Dark energy tentacles erupt and snag the girl, making her scream as the dark magic totally overwrites her system. When the smoke clears, she's standing perfectly still, her face covered in shadow, and her vibe utterly changed. While his companion thinks she's dead, the demon general reveals that she hasn't been wiped, she's been changed into a demon. Her eyes start burning red, a mark emerges on her forehead, and the general verifies she's now a faithful puppet for their side of the conflict. The girl bends to one knee and requests for her new objective. The demon general urges her to go undercover in human society and play the victim, claiming her unit was wiped out and she's the single survivor. She's told to wait for the arrival of their main boss Linga, and with the assignment locked in, she disappears into the dark woodland to commence her infiltration. The demon general still doesn't comprehend why they're recruiting low-level humans, but the general adds that they've already converted thousands, including some of the top-tier awakened fighters. The goal is to use these sleeper operatives as high-value pieces after their lord officially takes over the planet. The leader shuts down the talk and urges everyone to walk out, reminding them that this assignment is the greatest priority on their list. Fast forward to the second day of the prophecy, and a giant iron golem is standing guard over a totally silent settlement. Looking at it, Josuke observes that the golem's tank stats surely make up for their modest party size as they prep for the next raid, stating that he wonders where Tenma is, and Iberia lets him know that the dark-haired boy is currently working at the workshop. Inside the workshop, Tenma is geeking out with Iberia's dad over a crystal that went off during his last scrap. He reveals that despite having a low 3% critical hit chance, it grew to 4% when he dropped that wild beast. The old craftsman is extremely impressed, remarking that scoring a crit with such poor RNG is almost a miracle. But our boy acknowledges it wasn't just about the increased DPS. He felt like he reached a flow state, where he could see everything coming and was utterly unbeatable. The blacksmith thinks it over, wondering if there's a secret perk of the boy's gear. That mythical Ultra Instinct feeling, where everything slows down, and the turmoil of the conflict just feels like a walk in the park. Tenma nods, confirming that's exactly how it felt while he was dancing around those monsters in the thick of all that danger. The dad is noticeably frightened and adds that he truly entered into the renowned flow state during live battle. He explains it as that ultra-rare phenomena where someone gets so profoundly immersed in what they're doing that the rest of the world just stops being. Since the child looks a bit bewildered with the jargon, the blacksmith explains it down into simpler terms. It's like a painter who forgets to eat because they're locked into a masterpiece, or an athlete whose body just moves on autopilot with zero mistakes. When an awakened individual hits this zone, their senses get broken, and every single attribute and skill effect gets a gigantic 120% buff, making them considerably more dangerous than usual. Tenma is extremely astonished because his teacher never even said this was a thing. The old man points out that it takes a laser-focused mind and a large amount of luck to pull it off, which is why it's usually the line in the sand between true geniuses and everyone else. And the craftsman says it took him 2 years of awakening just to find that zone once. The fact that the child pulled it off in just 1 month is basically a speedrun record that shouldn't be conceivable. Suddenly, Tenma's gaze shifts as he picks up on 3 dark, powerful signatures closing in at tremendous speed. At first they assume it might be the guards, but the energy feels way too toxic, more like disaster animals. The boy decides to inspect the perimeter immediately, racing out of the workshop and throwing the door open with a dead serious look, ready to scrap. His pals outside are startled by his increased anxiousness, but he warns them that he's experiencing magical waves that suggest more trouble is coming. Iberia attempts to play it cool, pointing out there's no barrier and the iron golem is on watch. But the logic doesn't hold up for long. Without any notice, something hits the golem with tremendous speed. Iberia is left speechless as the gigantic metal giant is pierced straight through the chest, its ponderous structure actually falling apart into scrap metal. Josuke is just as surprised, because the golem received 1 tap before it could even register the threat. It's when 3 high-level demons, the demon general and his team, unveil themselves. The system confirms it's still day 2 of the prophecy, as a dark, uneasy aura starts choking the region. Our boy locks onto them and understands these men are on a completely different level than whatever they faced in the barrier. The leader's magical waves are the most oppressive thing he's ever felt in his life. The demon leader states that it's going to personally manage the capture of the target, while its 2 subordinates handle the trash disposal. He tells them one stern instruction: do not destroy the demonic eye under any circumstances. The monsters acknowledge the order, and the human squad is frightened to find these creatures can genuinely talk back. Josuke, however, doesn't waste time as he steps to the front, swearing nobody is going past him, and charges the shadow leader with his sword aloft. However, as he charges in, he is struggling just to track the demon's movement, realizing the enemy is traveling at a pace that's virtually glitched, but he and Iberia are resolved to keeping the monsters away from their friend at any cost. The shadow demon immediately sets up an ice barrier that shuts off Josuke's charge like a brick wall. The man bangs into the solid ice, understanding he's utterly blocked off, and even his finest sword swings can't create a dent in the spell. Right as he's battling, the white ogre spawns behind him and lets a punch fly. The warrior spins to block, but the raw strength behind the impact is completely overwhelming, sending him flying backward like a rat doll. Our boy screams for his teammate, but the fire demon informs him he's got 0 time to be worried about anyone else. With a toxic grin, the demon yeets a gigantic fireball directly at him. Seeing that, our boy instructs Iberia to get back and drops his black wall to tank the hit. The explosion is huge, leaving Iberia in absolute shock, while Tenma's system launches a rank A copy ability to investigate the flame. The improvement is barely at 1% though, and with his arm charred from the blast, Tenma realizes he certainly underestimated his barrier and should have just avoided. The fire demon mocks him for thinking that weak ice could block its heat, but he silently wonders if he went too hard, because the youngster is the bearer of the demonic eye. Tenma is laboring on his knees, and when the demon's scan shows he's simply a level 0 human, he starts laughing. He feels he can just finish him out and neglect the task totally, because the gap in power is just that big. But Tenma isn't folding, as he summons his death dog to even the odds. The demon casually mocks the 2v1 attempt, calling the wolf a basic summon, and boasts that even 10 additional monsters wouldn't change the outcome. Our child is putting all his chips on death to bring them through. And as the next explosion goes off, the demon is shocked to see the kid really averted it. The monster detects something strange about the wolf too. It's not just blindly following the youngster, but is actually advancing toward the demon's genuine aim. Doing that, Tenma thinks to himself that if he plays weak, he can bait the demon into stalling, but he just can't bring himself to act like a wimp. Instead, he lets his aura explode with red eyes and blue lightning, practically informing the demon he looks mid at best. The fire demon is absolutely triggered by the lower monster talking trash, and resolves to turn him into ashes immediately. He unleashes another big assault, but the boy dodges it effortlessly, figuring that the demon is a long-range zoner with ordinary movement speed. With that read on the situation, he chooses to narrow the distance and force a close-quarters fight, charging in with everything he's got. The fire demon is taken off surprise by the quick W key approach, genuinely shocked by the kid's speed. Even still, the monster maintains poised, watching the boy approach with a frightening smirk that implies he's got a deadly trap waiting for him. Our boy attempts a kick, but just as it's about to hit, the demon produces a shield made of pure flames and blocks it precisely. He fires a concentrated jet of fire straight into the boy's chest, throwing him backward with enough force to send him crashing hard into a tree. Tenma pulls himself together, understanding he walked straight into a trap. Even the demon concedes he's clearly dealing with some type of intelligent beast in disguise, because there's no way a level 0 fighter could move that fast. Despite being in poor shape, the child drags himself back to his feet, facing the creature down with pure determination. The fire creature admits it got duped by the ruse and suggests the boy just give up and take the L to make things simpler. Tenma, however, checks his system and discovers the power analysis has hit 81%. He just needs to stall for a few more minutes. The scenario goes back to the hamlet at 3:14 a.m., where the demon leader is standing right in front of Iberia's dad, nonchalantly reeling off all his amazing exploits and declaring him the greatest craftsman humanity's ever seen. He then questions if the blacksmith's truly planning to toss his life away like this, making it plain he has no motive to murder him as long as he continues useful. But the blacksmith isn't having it. He straight up declares he's got no interest in accepting commands from anyone. He runs in with his equipment, but before he can even take another step, his body suddenly freezes in place, fastened down by ice. Doing that, the devil reminds him that in this zone, he is the one who determines who gets to keep their life. Hiding nearby, Iberia is witnessing the whole event and is losing it. He's scared that his dad is about to be stolen, and he's currently frozen behind a suit of armor, shivering with terror and indecision. Suddenly, Tenma's death hound comes crashing onto the scene. Iberia sees the beast immediately and watches as it launches itself against the shadow demon in full beast state. But the demon commander just looks the wolf down and in the blink of an eye, freezes the hound solid. The demon yells at its subordinates for letting the rubbish get through, while the blacksmith knows backup has arrived, even if it's currently in bits. Still hiding, Iberia is terrified to find that even a powerful summon like that couldn't even harm the enemy. He knows he's outclassed, and his first inclination is to summon Tenma for help, but then his father's warning echoes in his thoughts. He knows phoning his friend would merely send an already damaged person into a meat grinder, and he's not willing to jeopardize his friend's life like that. With a new face of determination, he thinks that running away is for losers. He's going to save his dad personally, no matter what it takes. A particular piece of equipment his father built, and understands that's his sole actual win condition. He races toward the workshop, confident the item is hidden under his old man's bed, mentally asking his father to just hold on a little longer while he goes to acquire the cheat codes. Simply then, the shadow leader catches on that someone was sleeping nearby, but simply departed, labeling the person a straight-up coward for leaving the blacksmith to fend for himself. Without missing a beat, the devil proclaims he's transporting the old man to his last destination, while the elderly guy stays locked in a block of ice, unable to do a single thing about it. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, the flame demon is prepared a fatality move, dubbed the Red Flame Bullet, to finish off Tenma. The lad is in a hard situation, his leg is burnt, so he drops his black wall to disguise the pain, and pops Thunderbreaker to wring out every drop of speed he has left. He's evading blasts left and right, but the fire monster realizes his mobility is starting to stall. The demon starts trash-talking, questioning how much longer a beat-up youngster can actually run from an endgame strike that's guaranteed to hit. The stakes go much higher when the youngster notices the demon is using both hands now, telegraphing a big AoE attack. With a yell, the demon lets out thousands of fiery darts that rain down like a genuine inferno, leaving the boy with nowhere to escape. His eyes go wide as the spheres close in from every angle. He knows his body is too heavy and fatigued to pull off a perfect dodge this time, and he's forced to brace for the hit as he recognizes he's about to take some major damage. Just as things look utterly cooked, the system shows the analysis is at 90%. He grinds his teeth through the heat as the number grows to 92%, 94%, 98%, until a direct impact finally sends him flying, eaten up by the flames. As he's going down, a core memory of his mother being consumed by blue flames rushes through his mind, adding emotional trauma to the physical suffering. The demon grins, concentrating all its magic strength into one final piercing shot to destroy him for good. But at the literal last millisecond, the analysis hits 100% and a blue barrier erupts into existence, tanking the attack perfectly. The contact produces a large shockwave through the region, leaving the flame demon absolutely perplexed about where this new shield came from. The system declares that Black Wall has leveled up to level 3, providing Tenma a hefty 50-point stat increase and a complete heal on the spot. He understands this power-up is effectively like skipping 4 complete levels in an instant, and he's definitely experiencing the main character vibes now. The demon can't understand how its flames aren't even leaving a scratch anymore, assuming the boy just popped a protective talent. The black wall has evolved too, building a gigantic protecting ice lotus around him. The fire creature tries to regain its composure, planning a new attack and assuring itself the real fight is just begun. But suddenly it stops dead in its tracks, with his eyes wide with sheer disbelief, as he discovers the boy's body is restored to 100% health, appearing like he never even took a hit in the first place. Tenma locks eyes with the demon and lets him know that the initial goal was to save someone named Aiden first, but those flames sparked some deep trauma from his past, and because of that he's decided to eliminate the demon right now and now. His eyes flame red with sheer, unfettered wrath as he promises to crush the creature into the soil. Not far away, Josuke gets propelled across the woodland floor, landing hard after a severe hit. He just managed to parry with his karma tool, aware that without such fast reflexes, he would have been thrown straight back to the lobby. Even with the block, the force was enough to leave him struggling to stand as he attempts to recover his breath through the smoke and dust, really stunned by how far he just got yeeted. Knowing these aren't your typical mobs, he decides to regroup, but a big explosion cuts off his eyesight. Through the haze he sees the same beast from earlier, charging him with its tongue out, looking like a terrible nightmare. Instead of sinking, Josuke decides to aggro the creature to keep it away from Tenma, his eyes flaming red as he promises to complete the fight fast so he can hurry back to the workshop. Inside the workshop, Iberia is feverishly seeking for a buff to reverse the script. He's squeezing his arm beneath furniture until his fingertips finally manage to discover the dragon deer. He's got a cry of pure enthusiasm as he holds out the legendary dragon deer, an epic item that offers a whopping plus 100 to both attack and agility for a 15-minute span. He buckles the red armor on and feels the power rush, swearing that this time he's genuinely going to carry his weight instead of being a burden. He bears his dad's caution in mind. The armor is dangerous, and the 15-minute timer is a hard limit. That just makes him move quicker. He sets a personal quest to help his elderly dad out of the situation before the clock runs out. Meanwhile, the Shadow General stands over the frozen blacksmith, taunting him for thinking escape was even an option. The villain brags that the only true threats to the plan are special-grade fighters, and because the greatest human warriors are currently occupied fighting the Demon Lord, there's nobody left to play the hero. Trapped in his frigid cage, the blacksmith wonders if they really went through all this trouble just for a simple craftsman. The Shadow General warns him not to acquire a big head, emphasizing that he's just one small piece in a much greater global-scale plot. Right when the demon is feeling smug, it senses a presence. Someone is blitzing through the trees at high speed, going straight for them. Out of nowhere, Iberia comes blasting from the trees, moving so quickly it's practically a blur, and heads straight for the demon in a frantic attempt to release the blacksmith from the ice. The general notices and appears visibly upset, lamenting that these humans just keep getting back up no matter how many times they're thrown down. Elsewhere on the battlefield, Tenma is standing tall on his ice lotus flower, looking like he just stepped out of a spa instead of a firestorm. The fire demon is having a total breakdown trying to figure out the reasoning here. We witness the boy become turned into a crispy snack, although suddenly there's not a single mark on him. Refusing to believe that the kid just pushed the respawn button on his health bar, the demon decides that no matter how many times he recovers, the ending is staying the same. He fires a chaotic assault of fireballs, hurling them down in every direction to try and eliminate him for good. Tenma calmly pops his black wall again, letting the explosions fling heat and dust everywhere while the demon grins, thinking it's finally making charcoal. But when the smoke clears, the guy just walks out absolutely unbothered, with the system declaring another 15% buff to his defense. He doesn't even slow down, activating Thunderbreaker and dashing forward with a flash of energy that makes the demon's jaw drop. The youngster is traveling even quicker now, blitzing straight through the fire barrier like it's not even there. With a dark focused look, Tenma tells the beast it's time to pull those scales off. He rushes himself like a shadow, and smashes the demon's protective shield with a punch so strong, the barrier physically splinters and shatters into pieces. As the child screams out a furious battle cry, his resistance numbers jump another 15%, and that's when the demon starts sweating. He examines the boy's defensive stat and nearly loses it as the figure has broken above 600 points, which is completely absurd for a human. The demon finally recognizes this level 0 youngster is actually a raid boss in disguise, and his survival instincts kick in hard. He panics, turns around, and starts sprinting through the forest while yelling for backup. But there's no getting away as Tenma catches up and pins him down, and the once formidable demon quickly shifts to begging. Tenma doesn't even react. He stays cold, ignores all the hubbub, and starts charging up an unbelievable amount of power for his next punch. Right then, the system drops a notice indicating his next hit is a guaranteed critical. The demon stares at him, truly wondering if he's the true demon here. Just as Tenma runs forward with lightning crackling behind him, the punch lands, and it smashes so hard, the ground straight up shatters, sending the entire region into a gigantic cloud of smoke. When the smoke finally clears, Tenma looks down at the absolute carnage from above. It's over. But he's actually a touch salty about it, since he really wanted to make the demon suffer a bit longer before sending it to the Shadow Realm. Suddenly, something clicks in his brain, and he understands he slipped back into that famed flow state right after nailing the crit. He starts wondering whether there's some secret meta-link between his critical hits and this amazing level of focus he keeps tapping into. Checking his system, he sees his overall numbers have officially crossed the 2,000 mark, which is a significant milestone that practically puts him in a separate league. Just then, the defeated demon's soul shatters into 2 blazing green karma forms and zips through the trees at incredible speed. Our boy watches it move, seeing that one energy is moving towards Hosek, and the other is going directly for the workshop. Our boy's a little bewildered, believing they probably should have divided up more, given both Death and Aiden are there. Not one to wait around and overthink, he sparks his lightning and speeds off at full speed, fearful that the energy not separating could indicate Aiden might be dead already. Back at the workshop, things are looking rather bad. The Shadow General is blocking Iberia's attacks like it's just another Tuesday. On the other hand, even with the dragon armor increasing him to his greatest capacity, Iberia sees his strongest hits doing 0 damage, and his irritation is hitting a boiling point. Still, he refuses to let up, pledging to keep blasting his best moves until the creature eventually cracks. The Shadow General is obviously unimpressed, looking at the boy like he's a trifling annoyance, and pointing out that the power disparity between them is still huge. Just then, even while frozen solid, Iberia's father is shouting at his son to take off the dragon costume, even threatening to disown him since he's so terrified for the boy's life. But the boy has already locked in. He thinks about Tenma and guesses if his friend were here, he'd make the exact same ride or die play. Ignoring his dad's pleas, he leaps from a great height, diving right at the enemy with every bit of mana he has left in the tank. The Shadow General watches the whole heartfelt family moment with straight-out hatred and decides he's had enough. With one nonchalant move, he pulls together his ice magic and snatches the boy right out of the air. Just like that, Iberia gets frozen mid-flight, utterly locked in place and unable to move. Same freezing spell, same hopeless condition, while the devil keeps preaching about how everyone should know their place. Right after that, the system flashes up a warning that the dragon armor's only got 3 minutes of power left. At that same time, instead of getting locked down by the ice crystals, the wolf levels up, jumping directly from 19 to 20. It shatters through its frozen prison, emerging much stronger and eager to cut the head off anybody that gets close. Tenma is also present and realizes out that the wolf actually absorbed that green karma sphere from the fire demon he just deleted, which explains the unexpected power increase. But before he can even enjoy the level up, he senses a curious purple glow as a wave of dark, strong magic starts pouring out of a hole nearby. Not wasting another second, our boy sprints straight toward it, knowing he can't wait for Yasuke. Outside, Yasuke is busy fighting the white ogre and lands a huge swing, cleanly severing one of its hands off. Even without its hand, the creature lunges at him, causing Yasuke to scoot back fast to evade the cause and readjust his position. The warrior stares back at the wound he'd ripped into the monster earlier and discovers the thing has already totally healed back to full. He's a bit shook because the regeneration on this beast is absolutely astounding. He's clashed with some high-tier enemies before, but this creature's healing factor makes it one of the most unpleasant bosses he's ever had to deal with. Seeing a glowing karma sphere approaching, he locks in and decides he's taking this win solo, putting every bit of his remaining juice into his blade till it's flashing a deadly crimson. He dives in for the finish, but the beast is smart enough to cross its arms and tank the hit just in front of its vulnerable place. Josuke lands without receiving the KO he sought. Yet that moment really gives him the winning plan. He knows those arms are the only thing keeping the monster in the game. If he deletes the defense, the core is wide open. He slaps the thing with a sharp, confident smirk, the kind that suggests he just figured out the entire puzzle. Charging back in, he throws a furious barrage of slashes at the beast's chest. But the main goal isn't the kill yet. It's gonna systematically shred both of its arms. He's already done the math and knows the monster takes exactly 1 full second to regenerate after a strong strike. And that 1 second is all the window he needs. With eyes flaming, he packs all his wrath into one final crushing swing. A path of red energy bursts through the air, hitting the monster's center dead on and eventually putting it down for the count. Breathing a breather, Josuke acknowledges that was a total sweatfest, and fighting a heal bot like that is very tiring. As the smoke clears, he knows he can't just camp out. He needs to hook up with Tenma and plan for the next wave. Meanwhile, things have gone from bad to worse for the blacksmith. The Shadow General has him completely pinned and is savoring every second of the old man's anguish. The blacksmith just has one request left. He begs the devil to spare his son and keep the kid out of this mess. But the Shadow General isn't interested in a no-kill run. He informs the old guy that he's about to lose his free will totally and become nothing more than a puppet on a string. That's when the Shadow General drops some scary information about his son's armor. He recognizes the gear as belonging to the dragon tribe, and adds that their life power doesn't just dissipate when they die, it persists inside the gear like a virus. The longer someone wears the suit, the more that remaining dragon spirit starts eating away at the wearer's mind. And in the end, their whole body gets taken over by an actual dragon. The story goes a fast beat to flashback, seeing Josuke and Iberia walking together. The youngster is geeking out about how much he looks up to Tenma, which actually throws Josuke a bit off surprise. He asks why the boy is so focused on him specifically, when there are lots of other renowned warriors out there to admire. Josuke even cites some renowned boxers they've both heard of, pointing out that even he has more of a reputation than the child might assume. Iberia goes utterly quiet, realizing he doesn't exactly have a planned answer for that. He stands there seeming startled that he can't even express his own sentiments. That brief moment truly sticks with the youngster, letting him realize that his admiration for Tenma was just always there in the background, like a permanent bonus he never bothered to check the stats on. 10 years ago, tiny Iberia was running around with pure main character zeal, wielding a wooden sword like it's the most renowned weapon in existence. His mom watches with a benign smile, asking if he's vibing with his birthday gift, and the boy is obviously obsessed. He even gives the toy sword a heroic name and announces to her that he's going to be a real-life hero, protecting everyone from monsters. He dashes off to show the local kids, while his dad watches from the sidelines, low-key wondering if the youngster actually has any true friends to play with. The enthusiasm doesn't last long, though. The tiny child runs up to a bunch of kids to show off his delight and joy, but the vibe changes into toxic lobby terrain instantly. The other youngsters are visibly jealous, and one of them begs to see the sword up close. Little Iberia senses the bad vibrations and grabs his sword tight, but the bullies close in, making snide comments about how his dad is a blacksmith and can easily build a new one whenever. The boy tries to say no, but the dread is too strong, and he completely freezes up. With a phony smile masking some real tears, he hands over the sword, and the bullies merely laugh and run off with their stolen riches. Looking down from above, the small child is merely a lonely figure, standing in the center of a large, empty yard with absolutely nothing. He's standing there chewing his lip, absolutely furious with himself for being too timid to stand his stance. He eventually heads back to the workshop, where his dad is busy hammering away at some metal, and his mom is napping. When his mom asks if he had a good time, he strikes her with a huge lie, saying everything was fantastic, just so she wouldn't worry. Of course, his mom can tell he's capping. She becomes quiet, as his dad, who certainly understands what's up, wonders where the training blade went. His mom is ready to go mom mode and get it back, but the blacksmith stops her. He points out that even if they get it back, the bullies will just spawn camp him and grab it again. He slams his hammer down, irritated that his son doesn't even have the confidence to ask for help when things get difficult. He's not being cruel, but he's plainly anxious that his child is being way too passive for his own good. Months pass, and the next recollection shows young Iberia bawling his eyes out in a hospital hallway, his eyes flickering with a faint golden glow. His dad is absolutely losing it, grabbing a doctor by the throat and demanding to know why they aren't doing more to save her. Inside the room, his mother calls his name in a whisper that's scarcely audible. The youngster runs to her side, grasping her hand like his life depends on it, and imploring her not to leave. She speaks to him one more time, telling him that while his father might call him a coward, she knows he's just a sweet person with a good heart. But then she delivers some heavy truth, that being kind without being powerful is a hazardous combo, since eventually you'll wind up hurting the people you love by being unable to protect them. She tells him he needs to level up for real, to get strong and fearless for when it actually counts. She urges him to watch for his dad, and tells him she's 100% convinced he's going to be a legendary awakened one someday. Then the heart monitor flatlines, and the youngster just breaks, swearing through the sobs that he'll become the greatest and bravest fighter in the world. Coming back to the now, Iberia thinks of the first time he ever met Tenma. Honestly, the guy's strength was so on another level that it was straight out terrifying, and the child believed he'd just be some fleeting ally passing through. But as they spent more time together, he understood Tenma was built different. He'd watched him solo hundreds of awakened ones and stand down disaster-class animals without even blinking. Beneath that gruff guy demeanor, Tenma always had a knack of helping people, discreetly and with a kindness that most people would never see coming. Eventually, Iberia admits it out loud to Josuke, that the sole reason he's grinding to get stronger is to follow the route this man is walking. He glances at Josuke with sheer determination, admitting Tenma is the precise kind of awakened one he's always dreamed of being. But then his confidence sinks, and he admits he feels talentless and like a total coward, thinking he could never actually reach that rank. Even with blood on his face, he merely laughs and says that being able to fight side by side with the person is a big enough win for him. But when the change finally achieves 100%, the dragon suit totally takes over, and Iberia morphs into a full-on gigantic dragon. Before he can even react, he hears a familiar voice shouting his name. He turns, and there's Tenma, just standing there, gazing directly at him. Our boy observes him from a distance and cries out, reminding him he was literally ordered not to use that dragon gear. But then he notices the smoke pouring out of his mouth, and soon understands something's awry. His reactions are odd, and he doesn't look the same anymore. The dragon kid's eyes flame red as he mutters something, so our boy wonders what he's trying to convey and where his father is. Out of nowhere, the monster lets out a loud growl and goes for a sneak attack from behind, but Tenma responds just in time, seizing his wrist and yelling at him to snap out of it. He shoves the beast back, and they meet eyes for a second, like Iberia's trying to communicate something. Windblade is active, and blue energy starts crackling around the beast's claws. It blasts off an air slash so fierce it virtually erases anything in its path. Tenma swiftly utilizes magic detection to determine out what's happening, and just as the attack is about to hit, he dodges, realizing it's a wind elemental skill. Now he's not even sure if it's the armor manipulating him or something else entirely. At that time, he activates Thunderbreaker, figuring the best way to cope with this is to smack some sanity back into his friend. The armored beast also charges at full force, and they both collide. Even if they're getting overpowered in the fight, Tenma can still detect his friend's aura buried under the corruption, and that throws him off. He can't comprehend why his own teammate is trying to kill him. Then he hears a faint voice from within the creature, almost as if Iberia is begging to be put out of his torment. The realization hits him hard, but before he can respond, the creature lets out a tremendous roar and swings at him. Just as the attack is about to land, Josuke rushes in and blocks the strike, sparing him. With a hard shove, Josuke sends the beast flying back and takes control of the situation. He plainly explains that this is the worst-case scenario. As they chat, the monster starts flashing around them in a quick circle. Josuke then reveals that the armor hasn't only made Iberia stronger, it has entirely taken over his body. When Tenma suggests removing the armor, Josuke instantly shoots the idea down, explaining it is merged with Iberia's body. Based on his experience, there may be no way to bring him back. Without hesitation, he adds the only alternative left is to kill the beast. He tells Tenma to step away so he doesn't have to see, but the boy refuses. He goes forward and stops Josuke, stating that he would handle it himself. Instead, he urges Josuke to locate Aiden and rescue anyone trapped by the ice beast. Then he summons his death hound and prepares to fight. Josuke agrees but tells him that if the thing escapes, it will only get more dangerous, therefore it needs to end here. As Josuke leaves with the wolf, the boy blocks the beast's charge. The creature fights back with Windblade, slicing through everything in its path. As the conflict proceeds, the boy sees something significant that his companion is still inside. He is holding back and not totally trying to kill him. Just then, the beast gathers all its energy and uses the 1,000 Windblade strike, sending several claw-like slashes toward Tenma, who stands there without moving a muscle. To Iberia's horror, the boy merely walks directly into the slashes. As they hit his body, blood splatters everywhere. Even in his monster form, Iberia is in tears, screaming as he watches things unfold. Somewhere else in the Shadow Realm, the demon general is seen kneeling before Lord Linga, reporting that they've finally taken Aiden. The cost was heavy, losing both the fire demon and the white ogre, but Linga doesn't even blink at the losses, as long as the goal is secured. The general then drops some tea about Lord Saru, the gigantic beast that is now failing in his struggle against Izumi's squad. Linga initially tosses it off, thinking Saru was only a distraction anyhow, but he's truly shook when he finds out Saru is being held back by a single special-grade human. Linga demands a name, and the general says it's Hitan, the man said to have the tankiest, strongest body in existence. The scene cuts back to the battlefield, where Hitan has blocked Saru's big assault head-on like a true monster. The gang, especially Chiri, is watching from the sidelines in sheer astonishment. Even if his wounds are healed, he's never seen a fight this nasty up close. Saru isn't slowing down though, and strikes with enough energy to actually obliterate the ground beneath them. The girl wants to rush in to aid, but Izumi stops her instantly, assuring her that Hitan isn't soft enough to die from basic hits like that. He advises her never to underestimate a special grade, and precisely on schedule, Saru's hand is forced upward to expose Hiten, standing there, entirely unbothered. Izumi starts thinking back to Hiten's famed second form, and simply hearing the hoopla has his daughter in astonishment. Suddenly, Hiten practically gets Super Saiyan. His aura shifts totally, and his stats shoot into the stratosphere. The only negative to this beast form is that he becomes a raving madman in the process. Before Izumi can even finish explaining the name of the form, Hiten lifts himself off the ground and flies straight through the monster's chest, leaving a large hole where its heart used to be. He lands behind the beast, and like a total Chad, doesn't even look back as the monster falls. The girl is confused about where he's heading next, but Izumi reveals that he's on his way to break the metal that's maintaining the barrier. She's hyped that even in his manic state, he's still following the mission. Izumi points out that if Hiten couldn't distinguish the difference between allies and enemies, he wouldn't be a true special grade. With one punch, Hiten fully wrecks the crystal, and as it shatters, his eyes return to normal. He looks about, entirely bewildered about where he is, and sighs with sadness when he realizes he slipped back into that other body again. As the barrier starts to fall away, the gang gets enthusiastic, but Izumi takes a second to call out his daughter. He tells her that she was virtually ready to throw her life away for Hiten earlier, adding it's obviously not her normal approach. She becomes a bit sad after the call-out, but immediately shifts the subject to Tenma's squad, hoping that the rest of the crew is holding things down on their end. Back on the other side of the battlefield, the monster that was Iberia is losing its mind, totally bewildered as to why Tenma didn't even try to dodge that final assault. Tenma, however, took the hit on purpose, as he thinks physical pain is the only thing that can numb his heart right now. He walks straight up to the beast and activates his clear orb, firing it directly into the creature's chest like a high-caliber bullet. The orb rips through the corruption, forcing the dragon armor to slough and disintegrate away altogether. He kills Iberia, who is a gory mess and screaming his heart out, revealing that he only put on the suit because he didn't want to be a dead weight anymore. Tenma assures him he never once thought he was a burden, and drops the real truth that the disaster animals weren't attempting to kill his dad. They were trying to transform him into a puppet. With a face of pure stone, Tenma tells the youngster he'll save the blacksmith and personally crush the beast behind all this drama. Even though he's passing away, Iberia hears this and smiles, leaving the rest of the mission in Tenma's hands. As the second day of the prophecy draws to a conclusion, Iberia falls, and Lord Linga is seen smirking in the shadows, thrilled that he's eliminated someone close to Tenma, and promising to remove everything else he cares about. Deep in the wilderness, Shiri is feeling a bit puzzled about the assignment. He doesn't see why they're continuing escorting Izumi all the way into the mountains, even after the major threat was taken down. It was supposed to be Hiten's job, but since he's basically out of commission following his insane change, the rest of the squad had to pick up the slack. As they're trekking, Izumi's daughter suddenly stops the group, as her spirit senses are picking up something unusual on the path ahead. They glance up to see a guy standing, carrying a body in his arms. At first, they don't know the individual, but as they get closer, Izumi's daughter recognizes it's Tenma. The mood is immediately odd, and she starts sweating just gazing at his face, wondering what kind of nightmare could have transpired to make him look like that. Before Tenma can even get a word out, Josuke pops from the shadows and swears he can explain the whole calamity. Izumi recognizes the veteran instantly, but is confused because he was supposed to be the security for Aiden. Josuke softly concedes that this time, the good guys suffered a tremendous L. The conflict ended in the worst way possible, as half of the northern region is in ruins. Aiden has been abducted by the demons, and his son is dead. Josuke reveals that he tried to pursue the magical trail, but the enemy was playing 4D chess. The general left a bunch of clones everywhere to mask its tracks. Izumi asks about Tenma's condition, but his daughter notes that the youngster is refusing any medical attention. She can feel a rage pouring off him that's fiercer than anything she's ever sensed before. Later on, Tenma is shown sitting alone in a room, staring at an old childhood photo of Iberia with his family. He starts spinning into recollections of the first time they met and the full trip they had up until this point. It's a difficult moment, but he eventually snaps out of it and calls out his wolf, showing that the devoted beast has officially attained level 20 and is rocking some very heavy status points now. The squad might be down, but Tenma is clearly ready to go on a warpath. Standing up, Tenma is looking like he's ready to smash the whole server, pledging to track down the Calamity Beast and absolutely demolish whoever did that to his friend. Just then, Izumi and the rest of the team step into the room, and you can literally feel the tension through the walls. Chiri, who's tagging along, understands this person is actually Izumi's second disciple and is said to be a true beast in combat. When Izumi sees him trying to head off, he wonders where he's going, and Tenma doesn't. He's going on a rescue mission to bring back Aiden. but his master slaps him with a firm no, immediately. Izumi says that the Salvation League has already identified this as a special grade threat, so if Tenma wants in, he needs to be at least a second-grade savior. Hearing that, the boy goes from 0 to 100 fairly fast. He's outraged, screaming that he doesn't even have the authority to aid, and that he made a commitment to his dying friend. He tells them straight up that if they won't let him go, he'll just go against them and do it anyhow. The whole gang is shook, seeing him talk to the master like that. Izumi stops him cold, questioning if he's genuinely alright with people dying because of his reckless actions. He drops a heavy truth bomb, revealing all of this happened because he felt they were only after him and neglected Aiden's protection. However, Izumi promises him they won't kill Aiden after going through all that bother to get him, but warns Tenma that his present power level isn't enough to tackle this last boss situation. If Tenma can genuinely surpass the special grade level, Izumi pledges he'll personally beg the League to transfer the task over to him. To get so strong, Tenma has to join the Apex Camp, an invite-only hellscape for the top 10 awakened in the Salvation League. Total powerhouses like Haiten and Taoijin have all survived that terrible training to become the essential protectors of humanity, and the next session starts in only 3 days. The instructor explains that clearing this camp is the only way to rank up and become a special class. Tenma agrees to the terms. But first, the squad needs to cope with his injuries. Izumi's daughter steps up, using her butterfly spirit to start the healing process, and as she's working, Tenma asks her what the problem is with this Apex camp. He's scared she's criticizing his strategy, but her reply is actually pure worry. Even though her father said it was great for him, she discloses that the site is virtually a graveyard for geniuses. People who have been top tier their whole lives go there and come out with their heads completely destroyed. The training is so lethal and severe that accidents are just part of the regular routine. Our boy doesn't even blink though. He knows that fighting these low-level monsters won't help him grow his imitation skill. He needs to be fighting on the border of life and death to properly level up. He gets near to her, reminding her that taking on high-level threats is just what an awakened one does, and notes her face is growing red from expending all that healing mana. She gets awkward, blaming it on her body temperature rising from the skill, but he's already focused on the next move. He gets his coat on and starts out the door, informing her with a dead serious look that he's going to say goodbye to someone. Tenma rushes straight to the forest where they've set up Iberia's burial. Josuke is already there paying his respects, and he takes a second to apologize to the boy for forcing him give the ultimate blow on his own friend. Tenma assures him it's all great, and reveals his plan to join the Apex camp so he may finally hunt down the Calamity Beast and kill it personally. When he asks about Josuke's next move, the veteran gets a touch sentimental, explaining that his master gave him everything, his sword, his talents, and even his life, so he's going to go get him no matter what. Tenma stops him with a fist square in front of his face, saying that after he levels up, they'll go rescue Aiden together. Josuke eagerly accepts, and the two share a solid fist bump to seal the deal. Watching from a distance, Izumi and his daughter are really shocked at how rapidly Tenma seems to have rebounded back. Izumi points out that the boy hasn't completely healed, he's merely buried all that terrible energy deep down, so he can unleash it later when it counts. With that, Izumi departs for a large summit with commanders from every continent, leaving Tenma in his daughter's care. She's feeling very pleased of her new guardian Jad, but Tenma instantly calls her out, asking where they're heading next. She attempts to make it secret and mysterious, but ultimately marks the way to Nakasu, letting him know they're heading directly there to join the Apex camp. Our boy doesn't hesitate and enthusiastically follows her lead. Meanwhile, in a completely other area, that red-haired boy, Reiji, is having straight-up nightmares about the time Tenma absolutely demolished him. He wakes up screaming and encased in bandages like a total mummy. His mom tries to calm him down, asking whether he's still dreaming about the person who attacked him, and he confirms it while threatening he'll have his revenge. His mother encourages him to rest, because his big brother is now coming to handle things. Right on cue, a gigantic powerhouse of a guy steps out of the shadows, asking if the person who harmed his brother was Tenma. Just hearing the name makes the younger brother spiral, yelling about how Tenma took first place in the preliminaries. The big brother just starts smiling like a real madman. He knows Tenma is absolutely going to show up at the Apex camp after a performance like that. He seems eager for a fight, pledging to totally demolish Tenma if they meet paths at the camp.